The moment the bell rang, Professor Liu gathered her things and briskly left the classroom. The second she was gone, the room erupted into chaos. Wyatt had just started to get up when a swarm of female students surrounded him, blocking every exit. "Hey, what school are you from? How'd you get so good at ear training? What tutorials do you watch on YouTube?" The questions flew at him from all directions, a dizzying buzz of inquiries that made Wyatt feel like he was trapped in a beehive. He did his best to answer each one patiently. Watching Wyatt become the center of everyone's attention, Cece felt that familiar pang of jealousy. She discreetly slipped her hand toward his, hoping he would take it and stake his claim, but he was too busy fending off the circle of admirers to notice. Cece's jaw tightened. She reached out and dug her nails sharply into his palm. That got his attention. He finally turned, a flicker of understanding in his eyes, and laced his fingers through hers. Isabelle stepped in to play peacemaker. All right, that's enough. You vultures," she said with a laugh, waving her hand. "Can't you see he's already taken? What are you trying to do? Stage a coup right in front of the queen?" "No, of course not. We just had a few questions for him." One girl protested. "Exactly. Jessica, what are you doing in a mix? You want to make your boyfriend jealous. Let him be jealous. If he is, I'll just get a new one," Jessica shot back. The comment, aimed at her boyfriend who also attended Juilliard, sent the group into a fit of laughter. With Isabelle's help, the crowd finally dispersed. Wyatt and Cece walked out of the building hand in hand. The second they were out of sight, Cece yanked her hand away and stomped ahead, her cheeks puffed out. Wyatt had never seen her act quite like this before. He shot a knowing look at Isabelle, Sophie, and Ashley, who were trailing behind, then jogged to catch up. He slung an arm around Cece's shoulders, pulling her into a half-hug. "What's wrong? Are you jealous?" "Of course not," she muttered, trying to shrug him off, but his arm was like a steel band. He immediately started laying on the charm. "Hey, I'm innocent. I didn't do anything." He softened his voice. Okay, my bit. I shouldn't have talked to them so much. I'll keep my distance next time, I promise." Cece snorted. "There next time?" "No, absolutely not. I swear." She knew it wasn't really his fault, but seeing him surrounded like that had stirred something possessive and uncomfortable in her. She couldn't take it out on her classmates, so Wyatt became the designated target. After his declaration of loyalty, he tried to take her hand again. She snatched it back and slapped the back of his hand. But Wyatt was nothing if not persistent. He just tried again. After a few rounds of their little tug-of-war, he finally succeeded, intertwining their fingers securely. All right, he said. "It's not even 4 o'clock. What should we do now? I'm staying in my dorm. I'm not going anywhere. Then wherever you go, I go. Our RA is always at the front desk. You can't get into our dorm. I'll buy a wig. My skin's pale enough. The RA will never know." A laugh escaped Cece before she could stop it, though she tried her best to hide it. She'd know in a second. "You'd look ridiculous in a wig." "Wow. Already sick of my good looks." "I said you'd look ugly in a wig." "What about now?" Wyatt stepped in front of her, blocking her path with a shameless grin. "Pretty handsome, right? Still ugly," she mumbled, lowering her head to hide the smile that was fighting its way across her lips. In one swift motion, Wyatt bent down and swept her off her feet. At 5'7", Cece was tall for a girl, but she was slender, and he lifted her effortlessly, hoisting her over his shoulder. What are you doing? Put me down. Put me down right now," she shrieked, her soft fists beating ineffectually against his back. Wyatt just strode forward like a triumphant pirate, laughing. "You just have to say that Wyatt is the handsomest man in the world, and I'll put you down." "I won't say it. Then I won't put you down. I'll just stuff you in my car and carry you off to be my queen." It was a Friday, and the campus was bustling with people. Cece buried her face in his back, her cheeks burning with humiliation, terrified someone would recognize her. She knew Wyatt was shameless enough to actually go through with his ridiculous threat. After a moment of internal debate, she surrendered, whispering into his ear, "Wyatt is the handsomest man in the world." "I can't hear you," he teased. She repeated it, her voice barely louder, then immediately added a threat of her own. "If you don't put me down right now, I'm going to get really angry." That did the trick. He gently set her back on her feet. The moment her shoes touched the pavement, she grabbed his hand and bit down hard on the back of it, leaving a perfect set of teeth marks. With a final, triumphant humph, she turned and marched away. 20 feet behind them, Isabelle, Sophie, and Ashley had been watching the whole spectacle with wide, amused smiles. As Wyatt jogged after Cece again, Isabelle shook her head. "Seriously, what girl could possibly resist that? He's a professional." Ashley nodded in agreement. "He's just so good at this." Last year, they were barely holding hands, Isabelle continued. And look at them now. Cece is a lost cause. Completely done for. Sophie, what are you thinking about over there? And nothing, Sophie stammered. Isabelle giggled. She's thinking about why Leo hasn't come to find her yet. I am not. Sophie protested, her face flushing. I was just. Ugh. Anyway, I wasn't thinking about him. The more she denied it, the harder Isabelle and Ashley laughed. Flustered, Sophie huffed and turned away, her face bright red. Whatever. You two can say what you want. You're both single. Oh my God, Sophie, you're turning into one of us. Since when do you insult people? Are you even the Sophie I know? Ashley. What? Maybe we should just get together. Isabelle proposed dramatically. Then they can't call us single anymore. You're not my type. Ashley shot back. Even if I liked girls, I definitely wouldn't like you. You take that back. You take it back. Don't you run away. Get back here. Come and get me. After dropping her books in her dorm, Cece came right back downstairs. Wyatt drove them away from the campus, and this time, Isabelle, Sophie, and Ashley weren't with them. Last year, whenever Wyatt came to visit, Cece would usually insist her roommates come along as buffers. But things were different now. To Wyatt and her friends, the change was obvious, even if Cece herself hadn't fully realized it. Before, the thought of being alone with him made her heart pound with anxiety. Now, she was used to it. She even looked forward to it. So, where are we going? Cece asked, tilting her head from the passenger seat. Wyatt smiled. No idea. We've been to so many places already. And I'm kind of tired today. I don't feel like going far. Let's just find a quiet place to sit. Then a hotel it is, he said, quickly adding. I didn't sleep well last night. I could use a nap. Oh, she said, offering no objection. Wyatt parked in the hotel's underground garage. As they rode the elevator up to the lobby, he fished his wallet out of his bag, handing Cece his ID. I'm going to use the restroom. You go ahead and get us a room. Cece took the ID on autopilot. Watching him walk toward the restrooms, she hesitated for a moment before approaching the front desk. She kept her head down as she handed the card to the receptionist. Hi, a room, please. King or two doubles? Cece fell silent, taking so long to answer that the receptionist repeated the question, thinking she hadn't heard. Finally, Cece made up her mind. A king, please. She reasoned that since she was going back to her dorm that night anyway, a king-size bed would be more comfortable for him to sleep in alone. By the time she'd finished checking in, Wyatt had returned. They took the elevator to the 5th floor. Which room is it? 502. He slid the key card into the slot, and the door clicked open. The room was noticeably larger than a standard double, dominated by the large bed. Otherwise, the layout was the same. Wyatt turned on the lights and the AC, then shrugged off his jacket, stretched, and flopped face down onto the mattress. It was the first week back after a month-long winter break at home, and the early mornings and late nights were hitting him hard. He hadn't had a chance to nap, and the 45-minute drive over had drained him. He was exhausted. Seeing him lying there motionless, Cece dropped her bag and sat on the edge of the bed. She poked his back. How come Leo didn't come with you today? He has a class this afternoon. Said he'd come this weekend. The weekend? Cece pulled out her phone and checked a note in her contacts. Hey, Sophie's birthday is this weekend. Hearing that, Wyatt rolled over, propping his head up with one hand. I was wondering why he suddenly lost his enthusiasm. So it's Sophie's birthday, and your birthday is next month. How do you know that? I don't think I ever told you. Cece pouted. You'd just hand me your ID, you know. Wyatt let out a goofy laugh. Cece seized the opportunity. What do you want for your birthday? He shifted closer to her on the bed, a playful smile on his face. I don't really want anything. Nope. You have to pick something, she insisted. Can I ask for something other than a gift? Depends. What is it? On my birthday, you just have to give me a kiss. I knew it. Cece turned away, unable to hide the smile spreading across her face, though she tried to sound annoyed. That's all you ever think about. Fine, I'll pick something else. Well, just give me some clothes. My closet is all summer and winter stuff, nothing in between. What style do you like? She asked immediately. Anything. As long as you pick it out, I'll love it. That made her happy. When it came to fashion, she was confident her taste was far superior to his. What size do you usually wear? Wyatt yawned and pointed to his shoulder bag, which he'd tossed on the sofa. I brought a change of clothes. You can go look. Cece got up and unzipped the bag. Inside, besides his wallet, charger, and keys, was a single set of clean clothes. He always packed one when he came over on Fridays. She reached in and pulled the clothes out. As she was looking for the tag on the shirt, a pair of boxer shorts tumbled out and landed on the floor. She froze, glancing instinctively at Wyatt. He was still lying on the bed, not paying attention. Her face flushing, she quickly snatched the boxers and shoved them back into the bag. Phew. Pretending nothing had happened, she checked the sizes on the tags, then quickly stuffed everything back inside. See it, he asked. Yeah. XL shirt, L pants. Wyatt patted the empty space on the bed next to him. Come on, let's nap together. I'm not sleepy. Then can you do me a favor? What is it? Just sit here, he said, his tone surprisingly earnest. I want to see what it feels like to fall asleep with my head in your lap. Cece's eyes widened, and a wave of heat crept up her neck. She stammered, "WL, you have to promise. You won't try anything, or I won't ever agree to this again." So there could be a next time, Wyatt thought, pleasantly surprised she'd even agreed to this. "I promise," he said instantly. She moved over and carefully sat down on the bed. Wyatt immediately rested his head on her thighs. The contact sent a tingling, pins and needles sensation through her entire body. Her face was on fire. It suddenly occurred to her that from this angle, he was looking straight up at her, the most unflattering angle imaginable. She quickly turned her head aside. She had no idea that, to him, her flustered, blushing face was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. The room was a comfortable temperature. Wyatt closed his eyes, content. True to his word, he didn't move a muscle. Soon, his breathing became slow and steady. After half an hour of tense anticipation, Cece realized he was actually asleep. A tiny part of her was disappointed. She reached out, wanted to pinch his cheek, but stopped, afraid of waking him. She pulled her hand back. The second hand on the clock ticked away. Cece adjusted her position, taking off her shoes and leaning back against the headboard. She hadn't been tired, but listening to the soft, rhythmic sound of his breathing, she drifted off to sleep. Wyatt woke up once. Seeing Cece asleep, sitting up, he carefully rose, gently lifted her, and laid her down flat on the bed. Then he lay down beside her and fell back into a deep sleep. Cece was dreaming. She dreamt that Wyatt was at her house, and they were all alone. They were on the sofa watching TV when he suddenly started acting like a total creep, insisting on kissing her. She refused, but he was too strong. He pulled her into his arms, and all she could do was clamp a hand over his mouth, repeating over and over again, "No, no, you jerk." Somewhere in the haze between sleep and waking, Wyatt was roused by her mumbling. He opened his eyes and saw that Cece, who had been on the other side of the bed, had somehow crossed the invisible line between them. Her head was now on his pillow, and she was still whispering his name. Before he could fully process it, she murmured one last jerk, and her eyes fluttered open. They stared at each other. They were so close he could feel her breath on his face. Cece's eyes went wide. She shot up from the bed, and Wyatt sat up with her. "What were you dreaming about?" he asked, stretching his neck, pretending nothing had happened. She looked down, flustered. "And nothing. But you kept saying my name." "That's because." "Because what?" "Nothing." Wyatt grabbed a couple of tissues from the nightstand and handed them to her with a wicked grin. "Here, wipe your face. You're drooling." Cece froze for a second, then quickly took the tissues and wiped her cheek. When she realized she had, in fact, been drooling, her face turned a shade of crimson she'd never known possible. "And it's all your fault," she grumbled internally. "Being a creep, even in my dreams." She was about to get off the bed when Wyatt's next question made her so shy she was speechless. "Cece," he said, his voice laced with amusement, "does this mean we've officially slept together?" The room was silent for a full 30 seconds before she managed a rushed reply. "No, it definitely doesn't count." "Why not?" "It just doesn't. And you can't tell anyone about this. If you do, I'll never speak to you again." Wyatt decided not to tease her further. He pocketed his phone and the room key, and they left to get dinner. Leo was having a crisis. Sophie's birthday was this weekend, and he still had no idea what to get her. After class, he'd spend hours on his laptop, searching for ideas, but the internet was a minefield of conflicting advice. Chocolate, lipstick, purses, perfume. He couldn't make a decision. That evening, he finally gave in and called Wyatt. When it came to this stuff, Wyatt was a grandmaster. His advice would be solid. Wyatt and Cece had just sat down at a restaurant when the call came through. "Wyatt," Leo began, "I need to ask you something." "Don't tell me," Wyatt interrupted. "Let me guess. You want to know what to get Sophie for her birthday this weekend?" How did you know?" "Because your dad is a psychic." "Well, give me some advice, man. My brain's a total mess right now." "You don't have any ideas of your own?" "I saw this lipstick gift set online," Leo said hesitantly. "You know, the kind that lights up and plays music when you open it." Wyatt was silent for a beat. "Are you an idiot?" he finally asked. "Sophie isn't 3 years old. Do you really think she'd like a gift with that level of clueless guy energy?" "Then give me a better idea." Wyatt was about to respond when Cece leaned in and whispered, I think Sophie's wanted one of those big Sephora gift sets for a while, but she's never wanted to spend the money on it. Wyatt relayed the intel to Leo, who instantly sounded as giddy as a fool. Okay, I'm hanging up now. We're trying to eat, Wyatt said. All right, got it. And tell your girlfriend thanks for me. Wyatt hung up and was about to take another bite when his phone rang again. This guy is so needy, he muttered, assuming it was Leo. But when he answered, he was surprised to hear Vivien's voice. Wyatt, what are you doing? I'm having dinner with Cece, he said with a smile. Oh, well, the design sketches are ready. I'm sending them to you now. If they look good, I'm ready to start production. Send them over. I'll call you back tonight. Okay. After he hung up, Cece asked, who was that? My old boss. What did she want? She's changing careers. She's going into that business I told you about. Cece looked stunned. She had been there when they discussed it, but she'd assumed it was all just a joke. She couldn't believe Vivien was actually going through with it. She's really going to make those kinds of clothes? She asked, incredulous. Yep. She's already secured the factory. But isn't that embarrassing for her? Look, if you want to make real money these days, you have to get into niches other people won't touch. It's fine for now, but in a couple of years, every industry is going to be saturated. It'll be too late to get in then. Cece pursed her lips, a look of disdain on her face. And you know what's going to happen 2 years from now? If she loses money, you're the first person she's going to blame. Don't worry, he said confidently. She won't. Cece didn't respond, instead picking 2 pieces of fatty pork from her bowl and dropping them into his. After dinner, they took a walk. Around 8, Wyatt dropped Cece back at her dorm. He returned to the hotel, took a quick shower, and then lay on the bed, scrolling through the design files Vivien had sent him. 5 minutes later, he initiated a video call. Vivien was still at the office. The moment she answered, she got straight to the point. You've seen the designs. Any problems? Yeah, quite a few. But I followed all your suggestions. They're not problems exactly. More like optimizations. Go on. What needs to be optimized? Let's go one by one. First set, can we replace the side straps on the panties with pearls? Like 2 pieces of fabric front and back, connected by strings of pearls. Second set, this one would look more complete with a pair of black thigh highs. Third set, the stockings need a garter belt. Fourth set, this one looks more like a nightgown. Can we make it more sheer? I'm thinking that almost see-through but not quite vibe. Fifth set is pretty good, but I think we could add cat ears. Or a collar. Or both. Vivien didn't interrupt once, just diligently took notes. When he was finally finished, she looked at him with a dead serious expression. Wyatt, I have to ask you a very serious question. Shoot, are all 18-year-old boys as perverted as you? Wyatt rolled his eyes. Vivien, let me repeat myself. This is business. We're talking about work. In my personal life, I am actually a very pure and simple person. Beep, beep, beep. Hello, hello. She'd hung up on him. On Saturday, Wyatt slept in. Cece, however, was up early. She sent him a couple of texts around 8, but when he didn't reply, she decided to wait, not wanting to seem too eager by showing up early. So she stayed in her dorm all morning. Isabelle and Ashley went out to pick up a package and returned to model the new clothes they'd bought online. Isabelle tried on a long, form-fitting skirt with low-heeled leather shoes and a denim jacket, looking effortlessly cool. Ashley, aiming to make her legs look longer, had bought a pair of flared pants, which she paired with 2-inch heels that instantly accentuated her figure. They stood admiring themselves in the full-length mirror on their door. Ashley suddenly flipped her hair back. Hey guys, should I keep my hair short or grow it out? Sophie was sitting backwards in her chair, her chin resting on her fists, which were propped on the chair back. Have you ever had long hair before? She asked with a smile. My middle school had a strict dress code, so I've had this haircut ever since I started. You should try it then, Isabelle encouraged. Yeah, Ashley agreed. A lot of guys have a thing for long hair. What's that term they use online? Black, long, and straight, Cece supplied. Right, that's the one. Ashley sighed. But isn't it too late to start growing it out now? Not at all. Summer's still 3 months away. In 3 months, you should be able to get it into a ponytail, Isabelle said. And you have to remember, for guys, there are 3 things a girl can do that are the most attractive. Which 3? Seeing Isabelle was about to launch into a lecture, Cece and Sophie turned their full attention to her. Isabelle adopted the posture of a seasoned expert, biting your lip, stretching, and flipping your hair. Her 3 roommates had a collective moment of enlightenment. I get stretching and flipping your hair, Ashley said, puzzled. But how are you supposed to bite your lip? She demonstrated, but without any experience, the effect was anything but seductive. Not like that. Isabelle immediately gave a demonstration. As she gently bit her lower lip, her eyes turned soft and alluring. The effect was completely different. It was the look of a natural-born vixen. Ashley shoved her away, laughing. You are so shameless. I was just giving you a demonstration. I was being extra on purpose, okay? As the two started playfully wrestling, Cece laughed. Isabelle pulled a chair over and sat next to her, a sly grin on her face. Cece, why haven't you gone to find Wyatt yet? I'll go over at noon. And then stay out until the middle of the night, like yesterday. It wasn't the middle of the night, Cece said, exasperated. I was back by 8. What did you two do all day? Nothing. I don't believe you. It's true. I don't disbelieve you. Isabelle clarified. I don't believe Wyatt. Cece immediately jumped to his defense. He didn't sleep well the night before, so he just took a nap at the hotel yesterday afternoon. I fell asleep later too. Isabelle shot to her feet. You slept together? No, you just admitted it. We slept, but not that kind of sleeping. Cece was getting hopelessly tangled in her explanation. Seeing the wicked grins on her roommates' faces, she gave up. She turned her back to them, huffing. You guys have such dirty minds. I'm not talking to you anymore. Ha ha. After napping for a few hours the day before and video chatting with Vivien, Wyatt had suffered another bout of insomnia. He'd woken up around 9 this morning, but was still exhausted, so he fell back asleep and didn't wake up again until 11. Seeing Cece's text from 8 o'clock, he dialed her number while heading to the bathroom to brush his teeth. Hello, she answered. I just woke up. Brushing my teeth now. You lazy bum. Want to go somewhere and hang out this afternoon? Where? Anywhere you want to go. Cece, who was never good at making decisions, replied quickly. No, anywhere is fine. Should we bring Sophie, Ashley, and the others? Wyatt asked. Cece hesitated. Last year, she would have said yes without a second thought. But now she was torn. It felt wrong not to invite them, since they always went out together. But at the same time, she sometimes felt like they were a little bright, like 3 extra light bulbs in the room getting in the way. Wyatt knew she was thinking, so he didn't press, just continued brushing his teeth. Sophie saw Cece holding the phone to her ear without saying anything and waved a hand in front of her face. Cece, what's wrong? Cece shook her head and went back to her call with Wyatt. You think of a place first. Wyatt dried his face, pulled out his phone, and looked at a map for a moment. There's a place in Liberty State Park for outdoor grilling and camping. It's less than 5 miles from here, maybe a 20-minute drive. Cece lowered her phone and turned to her roommates. Wyatt and I are going to barbecue thing this afternoon, over at Liberty State Park. Do you guys want to come? Isabelle smiled slyly. If you don't mind us 3 being third wheels, then sure. Ashley laughed. Isabelle, that's so unfair. After you say that, how can she possibly say no? Sophie giggled. Her 2 live-wire roommates were hilarious. Cece ignored them, relayed the message to Wyatt, and hung up. Okay, I'm gonna meet him first, she announced, getting up. He'll come pick you guys up around 1. Okay, have fun, Miss Cece. Love you. Cece smiled and left the dorm. She stopped by the cafeteria to grab 2 takeout lunches and then, following a now-familiar route, arrived at the hotel. She rang the doorbell. Wyatt opened the door. Seeing the takeout containers in her hand, he took them with a grin. I was just about to starve to death. You're so thoughtful. Cece, I'm telling you, if you keep this up, I'm going to like you more and more. Whatever, she scoffed. They sat on the sofa. Wyatt dug in, while Cece spooned half of her rice into his container. I told them we'd leave at 1, she said, taking small bites. We'll go pick them up from the dorm first. 1 o'clock? That's still a while. Perfect. We can finish eating and then get all cuddly. Shut up and eat your food. Hey, don't just eat the vegetables. Have some meat. No, I'm on a diet. You're so skinny. What are you dieting for? Any thinner, and there'll be nothing to hold on to. You know, the first thing to go when you lose weight is your chest. If you don't eat properly at school, I'm going to call our mom and tattle on you. MMPH. Cece couldn't take it anymore. She slapped a hand over Wyatt's mouth, pointing at him with her other hand. If you annoy me one more time, she said, trying to sound fierce, I'm going back to my dorm. Wyatt tried to speak, but his voice was muffled. He just blinked his eyes obediently. Cece finally let go, then wiped her hand on his shirt as if his mouth was dirty. In no time, Wyatt had devoured his brunch. Seeing him finish, Cece suddenly lost her own appetite. Wyatt noticed her about to close her takeout container with rice still in it, even after she'd given him half. What are you doing? You're not even finished, he said, stopping her. I'm full. You barely ate anything. I'm really full. Wyatt sat back down, snatched the container from her, and scooped up a spoonful, holding it to her lips. Open up. I really can't eat anymore, Cece whined, pouting. Come on, be good. Cece couldn't win. She opened her mouth and let him feed her the rice. He followed it with a spoonful of vegetables. She was getting embarrassed. I can do it myself, she said, reaching for the spoon. Nope. I'm feeding you. I'm not a child. Why do you need to feed me? Wyatt chuckled. I'll feed you just like this when you're old. Come on, open up. You'll definitely get old faster than me. Haha, who knows what the future holds? One more bite. I really can't. Last 3 bites. 2, 3 it is. You said so. MMHMM. After coaxing 3 more bites into her, Wyatt tossed the empty containers in the hallway trash can. They waited in the hotel for another half hour. Just before 1, they left the room to go pick up Isabelle and the others. In the elevator, Wyatt started teasing her again. There's no one else in here. Can I kiss you? Shameless. Okay, not on the face. A kiss on the lips is fine. He leaned in, puckering up. Cece scrambled to a corner, blocking his advance with her purse. You dork, there's a camera in here, she hissed. Who cares? Let them watch. What's wrong with a couple kissing? Get away from me. Fine. He backed off. The moment she lowered her bag, he grinned. You'd better watch your mouth this afternoon then. Why? Because I might kiss it at any time. Cece scoffed, turning her head away haughtily. Don't even think about it. Cece had texted her roommates from the car, so by the time Wyatt pulled up to the dorm, Isabelle, Sophie, and Ashley were already waiting outside. The car had barely stopped before the 3 of them piled into the back. All right, driver, we're in. Let's go. You 3 ladies are looking exceptionally beautiful today. Of course. Isabelle laughed. The weather's perfect today. There are bound to be cute guys out. We have to look our best if we're going to catch any. Wyatt laughed heartily. Deal. If you spot a guy you like, just let me know. I'll go get his number for you. Sound good. Sophie, normally the quiet one, had started to open up after spending so much time in their lively dorm. Wyatt, she asked curiously, you have the market and a company at your school, right? How do you manage all that when you come here every weekend? I've got everything arranged. They handle things at school, and I get to be the absentee boss. Must be nice. Wyatt signaled and changed lanes, stopping at a red light. In college, you either study hard or you play hard. If you slack off for 4 years, you'll work hard for the next 40. If you work hard for 4 years, you'll end up working hard for a total of 44. Isabelle clutched her stomach, howling with laughter. Ha ha. You know you have a point. Ashley suddenly asked, have you guys thought about what you want to do after graduation? No idea, said Isabelle. Sophie shook her head. I haven't thought about it either. Cece, what about you? Before Cece could answer, Wyatt turned his head and jumped in. About all figured out. We'll both be 22 when we graduate. We'll get our marriage license right away, try to have a kid within a year. I'll be out making money, and she'll be at home with my mom and her mom raising the baby. When I have free time, we'll dump the kid with the grandparents and go traveling, enjoy our time as a couple. Cece's face turned beet red. Marriage? A baby? A couple's world? What on earth are you talking about? He's full of it. Don't listen to him, she blurted out. She started pinching his arm repeatedly. I told you to shut up. Stop talking nonsense. Shut your mouth. But to her roommates, her frantic, flustered attack was just another form of flirting. Isabelle, Sophie, and Ashley exchanged knowing glances. Everything was said in that silent, shared smile. Seeing that Cece's ears were as red as her cheeks, Wyatt decided not to push his luck. He drove them to a mall where they bought snacks, drinks, barbecue supplies, and other outdoor gear, then headed straight for Liberty State Park. It was a perfect spring day, not too hot, not too cold, and the park was filled with people. Wyatt spread a blanket on the grass and dumped all the food and drinks on it. The 5 of them sat in a circle, chatting and snacking, enjoying the perfect moment. When Cece and her roommates started talking about girl stuff, Wyatt didn't interrupt. He just picked up a potato chip and held it to Cece's lips. Deep in conversation, she ate it without thinking. Seeing this, Wyatt lay down, resting his head in her lap, just as he had the day before. Cece was still listening to Ashley talk about something that happened in high school and didn't think anything of it. By the time she realized what had happened, her roommates had already seen them. It was too late to pretend, so she just went with it. Isabelle suddenly stood up. I'm going to the restroom. Anyone want to come with me? Ashley immediately got up. The public restrooms are over there, I think. I'll go with you. Sophie was a beat behind. Isabelle shot her a look, and she quickly added, I'll go too. Just like that, the 3 of them were gone. Cece was baffled. They had been in the middle of a great conversation. Why did they all suddenly have to leave? Wyatt saw her confused expression and chuckled. What are you looking at? They did it on purpose. What on purpose? They're deliberately leaving us alone. Get up. No. Cece cupped his face with both hands, squishing his cheeks. You know what? You are a complete menace. Wyatt raised a hand and pointed at the sky. Hey, look at that cloud. Doesn't it look like a heart? Cece lifted her head and followed his finger. There are no clouds, she said, confused. Wyatt seized his chance. He shot up, tilted her chin with his hand, and leaned down to kiss her. When Cece finally processed what had happened, he was already laughing. Haha, you're so easy to trick. Wyatt, you are so dead. He scrambled to his feet and took off running. Cece jumped up and chased after him, yelling, "Get back here." In the distance, Isabelle watched the two of them chasing each other across the lawn. "Doesn't this feel like you're watching a K-drama?" she said with a satisfied sigh. "They're sweeter than any K-drama couple," Sophie said. "It's so nice," Ashley added. "When should we go back?" "No rush," Isabelle said. "Let them have a little more time." Vivien, ever the workaholic, was at the factory office on Saturday. The factory was still in its preparatory phase, and she had set the official work hours from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., with one day off a week, but she herself was arriving before 8 o'clock every morning. After her video call with Wyatt, she had come straight to the office. It was simply decorated: a desk, a chair, a sofa, and a massive 10-foot-long work table in the center, covered with design books and sketch paper. Right now, she was standing at that table, pencil in hand, modifying the drafts based on Wyatt's suggestions. She finished the pencil sketches in the morning and spent the afternoon rendering them in a fashion design CAD program. And she had to admit, after incorporating Wyatt's ideas, the lingerie sets were decidedly more provocative. She had never imagined he'd have such a knack for this. As she was fine-tuning some details, there was a knock on the door. "Come in," she called out without looking up. Hannah walked in. "Vivien," she said, "the fabric samples from the suppliers are here. Do you want to take a look?" "Bring them here." Hannah walked over, placed the samples on the desk, and her eyes instinctively drifted to the computer screen. Even though she knew what kind of business Vivien was starting, seeing the designs still made her feel awkward and shy. They were more revealing than yesterday's. More suggestive. "Vivien," Hannah asked quietly, her cheeks flushed, "didn't you just finish the designs yesterday? Why did you change them again?" "That little punk Wyatt said to change them. What do you think? Today's better, or yesterday's?" "I don't know," Hannah mumbled. "But today's are more." "That," Vivien teased her. "I was thinking of having you try on the first batch when they're done." "No way." "Ha!" Vivien picked up the fabric samples and examined them. The quality was average, but the price was low. She didn't know much about the lingerie industry and had never bought any herself, so she decided to follow Wyatt's advice. Use better materials for anything that touched the skin and standard materials for the rest. She hadn't understood at first when he'd said some clothes were meant to be worn and others were meant to be ripped off. But after watching a few movies with only 2 actors on a certain flashy website, she finally got what he meant. "The samples look okay. We'll show them to Manager Chow when he comes in tomorrow." "Okay." Vivien went back to her computer and sent screenshots of the new designs to Wyatt. Meanwhile, on the lawn at Liberty State Park, Wyatt was standing by a small, portable grill, diligently cooking, flipping skewers, and brushing them with oil. Cece was playing Uno with Isabelle and the others. She played a few times before and knew the rules now. She was still terrible at it, but her enthusiasm was high. Ding ding. Wyatt's phone, sitting on the blanket, buzzed and lit up. During Isabelle's shuffle, Cece glanced at the phone and tapped Wyatt's leg. "Someone texted you." "Who is it?" "I don't know. Can you check for me? My hands are greasy." Wyatt's passcode was simple: the 3 digits of Cece's birthday, followed by the 3 digits of his own. He'd never told her, but she'd seen him unlock his phone so many times she'd figured it out. Her own passcode was now the exact same. She picked up the phone, unlocked it, and opened his Messenger app. She saw a new message from Vivien. When she tapped on their chat history, the screen filled with several blush-inducing, heart-pounding lingerie designs. She was caught completely off guard, and her face instantly flushed. "Who is it?" Wyatt asked again. Cece didn't seem to hear him, still frozen, phone in hand. Wyatt looked back, then crouched down and leaned his head forward. Seeing the images from Vivien, he just smiled. "Tell her I'm busy right now, and I'll message her back in about 10 minutes. Cece practically threw the phone aside. "You can reply yourself." "I'm not doing it." She wanted no part in such a risque business. Wyatt wiped his hands on a napkin, picked up the phone, and sent Vivien a quick reply. Sophie asked curiously, "Who's this Vivien?" "She's the owner of a little lounge where Wyatt worked last summer," Cece explained. "Last summer?" Isabelle said with a grin. "You two still keep in touch after all this time?" "She's a really nice person," Cece explained while picking up her cards. "But the lounge isn't doing well, so Wyatt's partnering with her on a new business." "Doing what?" Cece couldn't bring herself to say it. Wyatt, however, was completely unfazed. "Lingerie." The word hung in the air. Isabelle, Sophie, and Ashley all stared at him, dumbfounded. After a long moment, Isabelle just shook her head, making a series of TSK tisk sounds. "Why are you all looking at me like that?" Wyatt said, exasperated. We're all college students. Can't you be a little more open-minded? I'm trying to make money. You understand money, right? All right. All right. We already know you're a perv. Please stop explaining. Plus one. Plus one. Wyatt rolled his eyes. Smelling the barbecue, he waved a dismissive hand. I can't be bothered with you people. He spent another 10 minutes finishing the food and brought it over to them. Seeing them happily digging in, he sat down and finally looked at the pictures Vivien had sent. She had indeed changed everything according to his suggestions. The effect was so much better now. He quickly typed back, Vivien, I think these are good to go. You can start hiring workers and begin production. Try to get the first batch of samples done by the end of the month. Then find a model, take lots of pictures, get them up on an Etsy shop, and then we can start burning cash on ads. Vivien sent a voice message back. Okay, I'll finalize the fabrics in the next couple of days. I also hired a factory manager, a Mr. Chow. He's been in the lingerie business for almost 40 years. With his help, things should go smoothly. Great. Keep me posted if anything comes up. Will do. Wyatt put his phone down and leaned forward. How's the food? Absolutely amazing. I don't think I'll need dinner tonight. Wyatt, having eaten a big lunch and lots of snacks, wasn't hungry either. He sat down next to Cece, watching her eat with small, delicate bites, a feeling of deep satisfaction washing over him. She turned her head. Why aren't you eating? You eat first. I'm not hungry. He grabbed a couple of napkins and gently wiped her mouth. Cece had been about to take the napkins and do it herself, but he was faster. She could only brush her hair back behind her ear, and in that moment, Wyatt was captivated. The evening sun cast a warm glow on her fair skin, like a natural filter. Her soft, long hair danced in the spring breeze, and her eyes, shimmering like autumn lakes, seemed to hold a world of light. Every glance, every smile was breathtaking. Cece waved a small hand in front of his face. Why are you staring at me? Wyatt felt a warmth spread through him, and he smiled back. Because you're beautiful. Ew, you two are unbelievable. You've been all lovey-dovey all afternoon, and now you're showing off again. Seriously, it's too much. The teasing made Cece blush. She turned away so Wyatt couldn't see her, but she couldn't hide the smile playing on her lips. Being called beautiful by the boy she liked always made her happy. They stayed until 6:30, when the sky began to darken. They packed up and headed back. Wyatt dropped the girls off at their dorm. He wanted to ask Cece to stay in the car for a little longer, but after spending the whole afternoon together, he decided against it. It was Cece who, as she was getting out of the car, reminded him sternly not to sleep in the next morning. She gave him a little wink, a clear hint. Wyatt understood instantly. Tomorrow was Sophie's birthday, and she needed to go shopping for a gift. He watched them go upstairs before driving back to the hotel alone. He hadn't even taken his shoes off when Leo called. Hey, Wyatt, pick me up early tomorrow, okay? What time? Around 8. Get lost. If I pick you up at 8, I have to wake up at 7. Leo seemed to realize his request was a bit much. Okay, well, just as early as you can. Got the gift ready? Yep, bought it at the store today. Why didn't you just come over today? I switched to a 4-person room. My new roommates are normal. The old ones were a nightmare. I think I told you. Yeah, okay, talk to you later. My mom's texting me. All right. Wyatt hung up and opened his chat with the Queen Mother. Sarah, son, have you eaten? Whenever his mom texted him out of the blue, this was her opening line, regardless of the time. It was a universal parent check-in. Wyatt started a video call. Sarah answered almost instantly. His phone screen filled with the image of his mom and dad sitting on the sofa. The moment the call connected, Sarah slapped David's thigh. Can't you see I'm talking to my son? Turn the TV down. David yelped in pain, but obediently muted the news while rubbing his leg. Son, have you eaten? Just finished. Sarah noticed the hotel background. That doesn't look like your dorm. I'm at a hotel near your daughter-in-law's school, he said bluntly. Sarah giggled. Won't she get mad if you say that? She's not here right now, Wyatt said, then added, but it wouldn't matter if she was. I've already called her mom to her face. David gave him a thumbs up. Son, you're better than I ever was. Smack. Sarah hit David again. Of course he is, she said proudly. He's my son. David looked utterly wronged. He wanted to say, your son is my son. He wouldn't exist without me. But seeing how happy Sarah was, he held his tongue to avoid another slap. Son, tell me honestly, Sarah said, her tone serious. What do her parents do again? Already told you. Wyatt summarized. Her parents divorced a few years ago. Her dad's a president at a major city bank, and her mom is a VP at a multinational cosmetics company. But they're still in that on-again, off-again phase. They'll probably get back together. A new wave of worry washed over Sarah. Their family is so well off. Will they think our family is good enough? Mom, am I not an outstanding individual? But their circumstances are so much better than ours. People care about matching social status. Mom, don't forget your son is a small-time boss now, Wyatt said with a laugh. In a couple of years, I might be a big-time boss. Don't worry about it. You have no idea how much your mom likes me. Just be careful. You're still in school. Just then, a message from Miranda popped up. Miranda, Wyatt, are you and Cece together this week? Wyatt glanced at the notification. My mother-in-law is texting me, he told his mom, and promptly hung up the video call. Haha, see, David gloated. The second his mother-in-law messages. Your son hangs up on you. He's already forgotten his own mother. Sarah grabbed David's ear and twisted. What are you so smug about? Go mop the floor. Didn't I mop it when I got home from work? Then mop it again. Honey, if you keep treating me like this, I'm going to tell your parents. Have some shame. Every time David visited his in-laws, he complained about Sarah. Years ago, they would scold their daughter, but they'd heard it so many times now they were used to it. The most he got these days was a few words of comfort. Wyatt saw Miranda's message and replied quickly. We just got back from being out. I already dropped her at her dorm. I'm at the hotel alone now. He followed up by sending a few pictures he'd taken at the park that afternoon, all featuring Cece. Miranda immediately started a video call. She appeared to be in her office, a massive window showing a glittering city skyline behind her. She was likely in the central business district of a major city. Where did you two go today? She asked, her usual stern corporate demeanor replaced with a warm smile. Not far, Wyatt replied with an easy smile of his own. Just over to Liberty State Park. It's right on the Hudson, across from the World Expo Park in the city. I saw Cece just posted on her feed. Oh yeah? I haven't had a chance to look yet. Miranda had seen the change in Cece over the past 6 months. The number of posts she'd made on social media in that time was more than all 3 years of high school combined. Even though they were mostly just scenery photos, it spoke volumes. What are your plans for tomorrow? It's one of Cece's roommates' birthdays. We're going to the mall in the morning to get a gift, see what happens in the afternoon, and then have dinner together before I head back to school. Miranda nodded with a smile, then changed the subject. How's that gaming company you invested in doing? First quarter revenue is up 12% year over year, and I'm very bullish on their next project. If all goes well, their studio's next game, Honkai Impact 3rd, should launch next year. If you ever have questions about investing, you can ask me. I know a lot of people in the VC world. I might be able to offer some help. Will do. They chatted for about 15 minutes before Miranda's assistant knocked on her door. She ended the call to get back to work. Wyatt immediately sent a text to Charles. Your wife is working late. If you know her office address, you should send her coffee. After hitting send, Wyatt sighed to himself. With great power comes great responsibility. Charles stared at the text message, completely bewildered. Is this little punk telling me what to do? But he hesitated. Since the winter break ended, he and Miranda had both been buried in work and hadn't spoken privately once. He knew this was an opportunity. The next time they'd have a reason to see each other would be when Cece came home for the summer. After 10 long minutes of deliberation, Charles opened a delivery app and ordered a coffee, using Miranda's name and phone number. The moment he placed the order, a wave of anxiety washed over him. How would she react? Would she guess it was from him? Half an hour later, Miranda's assistant, Chloe, knocked and entered the office. She placed a coffee on the desk. Ms. Jiang, your coffee is here. My coffee. Miranda assumed Chloe had ordered it for her. She looked up from her work. It should be right, Chloe explained. It has your name and number on it. Miranda picked up the cup, nodded, and said, I see. You can head home if there's nothing else. No need to wait for me. Okay. Chloe left, closing the door softly behind her. Alone now, Miranda examined the cup. The name, number, and address were all correct. It was unlikely a colleague had sent it. They had a coffee machine in the break room and several cafes downstairs. And Miranda was so focused on work, she had very few personal friends. Excluding colleagues and friends, that only left family. The delivery had taken about 30 minutes. Half an hour ago, she had been on a video call with Wyatt. But if it were him, he wouldn't have used her full name, and he didn't know her office address yet. Remembering his antics over the new year, Miranda easily deduced that the coffee was from Charles. And the thought that Wyatt had put him up to it made her want to laugh. Charles. You used to dislike Wyatt so much, and now you're so obedient. An idea sparked. She picked up her phone, snapped a picture of the coffee cup, and posted it to her social media feed with the caption, Thanks for the heartwarming coffee, my darling daughter. Post sent, she went back to work, sipping her coffee. This was always a busy time of year, with a new summer product line about to launch. As a VP, she had to personally oversee many things. Meanwhile, Charles, who was already home from work, saw Miranda's new post and felt a surge of panic. She guessed wrong. It had taken all his courage to order that coffee, and he couldn't let her think it was from Cece. He sent a message to his daughter. Charles, Cece, are you asleep? Cece was just about to get in the shower. She sat back down and replied, Cece, not yet. Charles, did you see the post your mom just made? Cece, let me look. She opened her feed and saw Miranda's post. She was puzzled too. Charles, I bought the coffee. Cece instantly understood. A faint smile touched her lips as she typed back. Cece, you want me to explain it to Mom, don't you? Charles replied with peak prideful dad energy. Just tell her you didn't buy it. That's all. Cece, okay, I get it. Seeing her message, Charles let out a long sigh of relief. After finishing the chat with her dad, Cece opened her conversation with her mom. Cece, Mom, I didn't buy the coffee. Miranda replied instantly, I know. Cece, you knew? Then why did you post that? Miranda, I did it on purpose. Cece paused, and the whole situation clicked into place. Her dad could have put his own name on the order, but he didn't. He was too proud. Her mom had guessed it was from him, and her post was a deliberate jab, meant for him to see. Her message was clear. If you're not going to make a move, don't expect me to change my mind. The two of them were separated by a thin membrane. They both wanted to see each other, but neither was willing to be the first to break through. Miranda, don't tell your dad. Miranda, just ignore him. Cece obediently replied with an O. After hanging up, the more Cece thought about it, the more something felt off. She knew her dad. He wouldn't randomly do something like buy a heartwarming coffee. There had to be a mastermind behind it. She immediately sent a message to Wyatt. Was the coffee thing you? Wyatt admitted it freely. Your dad is so dense. I tell him to send your mom a coffee, and he doesn't even know to put his name on it? Cece, you're the dense one. Wyatt, but your mom probably knows it was from him. Cece, how would you know? Wyatt, because I had just called her right before I texted him. If you do the math, she could probably figure it out. Your mom's smart. Cece, my mom doesn't need you to praise her. Wyatt, you're smart too. Cece, whatever. I'm going to take a shower. I'm not talking to you anymore. Wyatt, please, just a quick video call. Cece, get lost. The next day, Wyatt woke up at 8. He texted Cece, then drove to Riverwood Tech to pick up Leo. The room is checked out at noon, Wyatt said, handing Leo his key card. I'm taking my girlfriend to buy a gift for Sophie. You can either wait here or go find Sophie at her school. I'll wait for you guys here, Leo said, taking the key. Wyatt dropped Leo at the hotel and went to pick up Cece. They drove to a large mall. Cece, Isabelle, and Ashley had already coordinated the night before. Isabelle was getting Sophie a custom engraved wooden comb. Ashley was getting a lighted makeup mirror with a beautify setting, and Cece had decided on lipstick. She dragged Wyatt straight to the makeup counters, where she spent half an hour testing shades before settling on a YSL lipstick that cost $265. After the purchase, Wyatt drove her back to her dorm. Leo was surprised to see him back so soon. That was fast. Bought the gift and dropped Cece off. What are we doing this afternoon? No idea. They were out all afternoon yesterday, so they want to wait until evening to go out again today. We can grab lunch and then find somewhere to kill time. How about an internet cafe? Nah, I've kicked my gaming addiction. I don't believe you. For real. The other day, Sophie texted me while I was in a game, and I didn't see it. It took me forever to explain, and she ignored me for a whole day. I had to apologize for so long before she finally forgave me. Wyatt just smiled. He knew that if Leo and Sophie had reached this stage, they were close to making it official. It's 5 o'clock. Shouldn't we get going? Ashley asked, looking at the time, a hint of excitement in her voice. Isabelle turned to Cece. Cece, give Wyatt a call. Ask him when he's coming to pick us up. Oh, okay. Sophie, who was still completely in the dark, saw her 3 roommates getting ready to leave and looked up in confusion. Where are you guys going? It's your birthday today, Isabelle said with a grin. We're taking you out to celebrate. Sophie stared blankly for a second before standing up. I never told you guys it was my birthday. That's all thanks to Cece, Isabelle explained. Remember on the first day of school when we all mentioned our birthdays? Cece made a note of everyone's in her phone. A wave of warmth spread through Sophie. I was trying to keep a secret, she said, her voice thick with emotion. And you all knew this whole time. You guys are the worst. Isabelle immediately pulled Sophie into a hug. All right, hurry up and get ready. Wyatt will be here any minute. After getting the call from Cece, Wyatt left Leo at the restaurant and drove to the school to pick up all 4 of them. While he was gone, Leo went to a nearby bakery and picked up the cake he had ordered, bringing it back to their private dining room. About 20 minutes later, Wyatt arrived with the girls. Hearing the door open, Leo stood up, his eyes immediately finding Sophie. He scratched his head and handed her the gift he'd bought the day before. "Happy birthday," he said with a sheepish grin. Sophie's face flushed as she quietly replied, "Thank you." It was a perfect picture of youth. Being with the person you like, surrounded by best friends you can talk to about anything, and a group of crazy people to laugh and have fun with. After dinner and singing "Happy Birthday," the six of them shared the cake. Leo had wanted to buy a bigger one, but Wyatt had convinced him to get a 6-inch one instead. True to form, Isabelle and the others, ever conscious of their figures, only had a small slice each. Adhering to the principle of not wasting food, Wyatt and Leo ended up finishing the rest. It was almost 8 when they left the restaurant. Since the car only seated 5, Wyatt drove Isabelle, Ashley, and Cece back to their dorm first. Then he sent Leo a text. "Wyatt, should I come pick you two up?" Leo, "Nah, you can head back to your school. I want to hang out with Sophie a bit longer." Wyatt, "You can try holding her hand tonight." Leo, "I will." His work as a wingman done, Wyatt drove back to his own campus. Under the streetlights, on the sidewalk, Leo walked beside Sophie. After reading Wyatt's text, he started to subtly edge closer to her. He thought he was being smooth, but Sophie was well aware of the shrinking distance between them. She didn't back away as she might have before. She just kept walking, pretending not to notice as their arms brushed against each other time and time again. Leo's face grew hot. He gave himself a mental pep talk, then finally, consciously, began to let his hand brush against hers. Once, twice, 3 times. Sophie knew exactly what he was trying to do. Her own cheeks were warm, and she was having an internal monologue. "You big dummy, my hand isn't even moving. If you're going to hold it, just hold it." The next time his hand touched hers, she deliberately opened her palm. Their hands naturally intertwined. Their palms were slick with sweat, their breathing a little ragged. Leo felt like his blood was racing through his veins, and his back was damp, his shirt sticking to his skin. In that moment, the rest of the world seemed to melt away, leaving only the two of them. Nervous, Leo's grip tightened. As his hand enveloped hers, a wave of heat traveled from her palm, up her arm, and to her earlobes. Sophie tried to speak several times before finally managing. Can you be a little gentler?" Leo jumped, immediately letting go. Sorry, he stammered, his face bright red. "It's okay," Sophie said, shaking her head gently. Seeing him staring at his feet, she lowered her own gaze. And in that moment, Leo, his brain completely overloaded, said something that Sophie would remember for decades to come. "Sophie, from now on, I'm all yours." Wyatt got back to his dorm at 9:20. By the time he'd showered and done laundry, it was 10 o'clock. He sent Cece a message. "Wyatt, is Sophie back in the dorm yet?" "Cece just got back." "Wyatt, so late?" Looks like Leo's wish came true. "Cece, wish came true." "Wyatt, they probably held hands." "Cece, you were his wingman again, weren't you?" "Wyatt, nope." "Wyatt, had nothing to do with me." "Wyatt, don't you think they make a cute couple?" "Cece, they're okay." "Wyatt, but obviously with a cuter couple." "Cece, LOL. Cece, LOL. Cece, LOL. "Wyatt, what is that supposed to mean?" "Wyatt, we slept together, and now you're just going to ghost me?" "Cece? Cece, if you say one more ridiculous thing, I'm blocking you right now." "Wyatt, okay, I'm kidding. Are you in bed?" "Cece, not yet." "Wyatt, what are you doing up so late?" "Cece, the class schedule changed. We don't have an 8 a.m. class on Monday, so I can sleep in tomorrow." "Wyatt, video call then." "Cece, no, I'm soaking my feet. I'm busy." "Wyatt, please?" /puppy_eyes / puppy_eyes / emoji. "Cece, that trick doesn't work on me anymore." Wyatt quickly switched out of their chat and sent a message to Isabelle. "Isabelle, you still owe me a leg pic." Isabelle was more than happy to oblige. Wait for it. A minute later, Isabelle, leg_pic_1, JPEG. Isabelle, leg_pic_2, JPEG. Isabelle, leg_pic_3, JPEG. Isabelle, and 2 more for good measure. Wyatt /thumbs_up / thumbs_up / thumbs_up / Wyatt, Isabelle, you're a real one. March flew by. Wyatt's days fell into a simple routine. Class, company, cafeteria, dorm. It was monotonous, but life wasn't always a highlight reel. The good news was that the stock market was on fire. The S&P 500 had surged to 3,800 points. When Wyatt had first started investing last year, it was hovering just over 2,000. The market had nearly doubled. More than half of the stocks in his portfolio were hitting their daily limits, And in a short month after the new year, his brokerage account had blown past $3.5 million. But Wyatt knew this bull run wasn't over. The market would likely peak around 5,400 this year, meaning there was still plenty of room to grow. On the last night of the month, a Tuesday, Wyatt took the initiative and called Charles. Charles was surprised to see the caller ID. He gestured for the bank's lobby manager to leave his office. "You can go for now." "Of course." Once the manager was gone, Charles answered the phone. "Hey, Uncle, you busy?" Wyatt's voice was cheerful. First, it had been Mr. Chun. Then, somewhere along the line, it had become Charles. And now Uncle. This kid's ability to push boundaries was truly world-class. "If you have something to say, just say it." "I don't have time for small talk," Charles said gruffly. "All right," Wyatt said with a laugh. "I want to play with some stock leverage, but I heard you need to meet certain conditions. I don't really get it, so I wanted to ask you." "Don't you forget you're still in debt," Charles said, his voice flat. "Leverage trading is extremely risky. If you don't understand it, don't touch it." "I know it's risky, but as they say, the bigger the waves, the bigger the fish. I want to take a shot. Are you even listening to me? Have you thought about what happens if you lose?" "Forget it." Seeing Charles's hardline stance, Wyatt immediately changed his tune. "Uncle, if you don't help me, I'll have to tell my mother-in-law about that dinner you had with that pretty lady." "You?" Charles was stunned. "Are you threatening me?" "Come on, Uncle, just help me this once," Wyatt said, his voice turning pleasant again. "I'll bear all the risks. I'll only play for a month or two. If the market drops, I'll sell immediately." Traders and gamblers have the same mentality. You win a little, you want to win more. You lose a little, you want to win it back. "I'm serious. I'll keep my word. You can watch the market yourself. The second the index dips, I'm out." Charles fell silent. As a bank president, he was, of course, following the market closely. The bull run was confirmed. A lot of people were coming into the bank to ask about stocks. In the short term, there was still room for growth. After a moment of thought, he said, "Through margin financing, I can get you a maximum of 2-to-1 leverage." Something was better than nothing. "No problem," Wyatt agreed instantly. "Thanks, Uncle." April 1 SD. April Fool's Day. Wyatt didn't pay much attention to the holiday, but he was immediately tricked by Alex, who told him his boxers were on backwards first thing in the morning. It was Chris who reminded him that March was over. After 2 classes, the 4 of them headed to the cafeteria for lunch. As they got out of the car, they saw Lily from the student council's outreach department handing out flyers at the entrance. When Lily saw Wyatt, she walked over and handed each of them a flyer. "Registration for the annual Riverwood Idol competition starts today," she said with a smile. "If you're interested, you should all sign up." Wyatt took the flyer and slung an arm around Alex's shoulders. "Alex here wants to sign up. He does an amazing version of I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys and an incredible Bye in SYNC. Chris and Sam could barely contain their laughter. Alex's face turned beet red. He was completely tone deaf, and he knew Wyatt was just messing with him. Lily played along. "Well, you should give it a try," she said with a giggle. "You can just scan the QR code on the flyer to register." "Don't listen to him. He's just kidding," Alex mumbled, his face burning. "Well, it's up to you. We're going to grab lunch," Wyatt said. "You keep up the good work." "Okay." Once they were inside the cafeteria, Alex shoved Wyatt away. "Damn it. Can you not just say whatever you want? I was trying to help you out. I don't need your help." Alex stomped off to get his food. "He's such a coward," Chris said with a laugh. "In the dorm, he talks a big game, but the second he's face-to-face with her, his face gets as red as a baboon's ass." Wyatt got a plate of eggplant with minced pork over rice. When his roommates returned with their food, they all sat together. "How's the sponsorship for the singing competition going?" Chris asked. "The banners are done. The custom ad fans and glow sticks I had you order just arrived this morning. You could drive it to pick them up later." Wyatt had already approved the design for the fans. They'd ordered 30,000 of them. One side had information about a promotion at the fruit market, and the other had franchise information for the vending machines. The supplier had sent a sample, and the quality was decent. This fruit market promotion was entirely Wyatt's creation. He called it Team Up and Save. The concept was simple. If a group of people bought fruit together and their total bill exceeded a certain amount, they would get a certain number of chances to draw for a discount, with a small chance to win the grand prize, a free order. It was, in essence, the Groupon model. Wyatt was confident this campaign would siphon off all the customers from Corner Organics. While Wyatt was living the college life, Vivien's factory in Riverwood was finally up and running. Most of the workers were from the factory's previous incarnation. Vivien had promised them all a $200 raise on top of their old salaries. With better pay and simpler work, most of them eagerly returned when she contacted them. Vivien was at the factory every day, supervising their progress. When the first batch of finished lingerie was produced, she eagerly dressed up some mannequins and sent photos to Wyatt. He received them, looked at the pictures, and then played the voice message that came with them. "Wyatt, the finished products are here. Can I start listing them on Etsy shop now?" He quickly replied, "Of course not." "Vivien, why not?" "Wyatt, you need to hire a few models and a professional photographer. Have the models wear the clothes for the photo shoot. How are you going to show off the unique features of our lingerie? By putting them on mannequins." "Vivien, I have to hire real people to shoot these." "Vivien, they're so revealing. Will anyone be willing to do it?" "Wyatt, there are plenty of lingerie models out there. As long as you pay enough, you'll find someone." "Vivien, and then what?" "Wyatt, once the products are listed, you can start running ads to drive traffic. It's also best to get some positive reviews up. After that, we've done all we can, and we leave the rest to fate." "Vivien, okay, I get it." "Wyatt, and, after the photo shoot, remember to send me the pictures right away." "Vivien, are you interested in the person or the clothes?" "Wyatt, Vivien, what kind of person do you take me for?" "I've told you before. I'm as pure as the driven snow." "Wyatt, you there?" "Wyatt, hello." The campus singer competition kicked off right after the long weekend for Qingming. After a week of grueling auditions, it had finally reached the elimination rounds. Tonight, the first round was set to take place on the athletic field. The Student Government's Activities Committee had already erected a stage in the center of the field, and even before the show started, hundreds, if not thousands, of students had gathered. By early April, the weather had warmed up considerably. College students had free evenings, so a large audience was practically guaranteed. Wyatt, along with his 3 roommates, arrived early at the entrance to the field, handing out free fans and glow sticks to the students trickling in. Since they were free, almost no one refused them, unlike the flyers they usually had to distribute. Wyatt stayed at the entrance until the competition began, then he left. Chris and Sam weren't interested in the show either. Chris headed to the fruit store, and Sam went to the driving school for a night lesson. Only Alex remained on the field, likely hoping to see if Lily was there. He'd been texting with her constantly, and since she hadn't shown any signs of annoyance, Alex was convinced he had a real shot. Back in his dorm, Wyatt immediately video called Cece. When she answered, she propped her phone on a stand. She was sitting in her chair with her feet tucked under her, munching on a small cucumber. "Have you eaten?" Wyatt asked. Cece held up the half-eaten cucumber with a grin. "Isn't this what I'm doing? You're having a single cucumber for dinner?" "Yeah, that's it. I'm calling your mom." As Wyatt reached for his phone, Cece quickly protested. "Are you crazy? I already ate at the dining hall." "Really? Really? I'm not a liar like you. I'm bringing a scale with me every weekend from now on," Wyatt declared. "If you lose any weight, I'm ratting you out to your mom. Don't you know that nobody likes a tattletale?" Just then, Isabelle returned from picking up a package. Opening the door, she saw Cece giggling at her phone. "Wyatt, I swear," she said in her signature sarcastic tone, "you two see each other every weekend, but you still have to video chat every single day. Don't you ever get tired of it?" "I'm not talking to you," Wyatt shot back. "Don't you realize that you and Cece flaunting your love all over the dorm is devastating for Ashley and me?" Ashley, who was engrossed in a game of Plants vs. Zombies on her laptop, chimed in without missing a beat. "Speak for yourself." "I'm used to it." Isabelle walked over to Ashley, draping an arm over her shoulder. "Come on, Ash. We have to present a united front." Before Ashley could reply, Wyatt decided to turn the tables on Isabelle, adopting her own snarky tone. Well, did our Miss Isabelle buy a new dress?" "What do you think? It's nice, right? Cece has one just like it. I bought it because it looks so good on her." "It's nice, sure," Wyatt said with a smirk. "But you can't compare to my Cece. You know it's a great dress. But you know that saying? It's not the dress, it's who's in it. It really proves that point. The dress. Who's in it?" It took even a seasoned pro like Isabelle a moment to process the insult. When it finally clicked that Wyatt was making a jab at her flat chest, she stormed over to Cece, feigning rage. "Wyatt, I'm going to rip that smirk off your face." Wyatt just laughed, a smug look plastered on his face. Completely powerless against Wyatt, Isabelle suddenly grabbed Cece's chin and planted a series of loud, messy kisses all over her face. "Moi, moi, moi." Wyatt was stunned. "Isabelle, what the hell is wrong with you?" Wiping her mouth like a seasoned Casanova, Isabelle sniffed disdainfully. "How do you like that? Jealous? I can kiss your girlfriend whenever I want." Cece's mind went blank. Her boyfriend was a pervert, that was a given. But when did her roommate become one too? The next morning, a large prize wheel was set up in front of Cece's Fresh Market, with a retractable banner next to it explaining the rules of their new promotion. Since Sam had class, Valerie was the only one managing the store in the morning. Typically, business was slow in the mornings, picking up for a small rush after lunch and peaking in the evening. But today was different. Not long after Valerie opened up, two female students came in. After picking out their fruit, they pointed to the wheel. "Hey, does the promotion start today?" "It does," Valerie confirmed. "So we can spin now?" "Yeah." The two girls spun the wheel. They both got lucky, with one landing on a $5 discount and the other on a $6 discount. Their total was just over $50, and they got an $11 reduction. They walked away happily with their 2 bags of fruit. It was a simple gimmick, but in an era before every app tried to gamify your life, it felt fresh and exciting. The promotional fans they'd handed out the day before, combined with Wyatt's announcement in the class group me that morning, had turned a usually dead morning into a busy one. Customers started trickling in. People who didn't know about the promotion saw the crowd gathered around the wheel and came over to investigate. It was a classic case of social proof. Faced with two similar stores, one crowded and one empty, most people will choose the crowded one. Valerie was so swamped she could barely handle it alone. The moment the bell rang for the end of class, she called Wyatt. Hearing about the situation, Wyatt immediately drove over with his 3 roommates to help out. By noon, the store was packed to the gills. Wyatt, seeing the chaos, quickly called their supplier. "I need you to bring another truckload of fresh fruit this afternoon." "Absolutely." As Wyatt was on the phone, Ron, the owner of Corner Organics across the street, stared in disbelief at the frenzied scene. He couldn't fathom how Cece's fresh market had suddenly become so wildly popular. What the hell are those kids up to now? After hanging up, Wyatt noticed Ron watching him from across the street. He flashed a small smile, then turned back to the store to help manage the crowd. "All right, everyone, please don't rush. One at a time. The promotion runs for 2 weeks, so don't forget to tell your friends." For the next few days, the store was constantly buzzing. A strange phenomenon emerged on the strip. 2 fruit stores side by side, one with business so bad it was desolate, the other with business so good it was overflowing. Ron felt that if things continued like this, he'd be out of business soon. That evening, he intercepted Sam on his way from the dining hall to his part-time shift at the store. 10 minutes later, Sam walked back into the fresh market, looking distracted. Taking advantage of a moment when Alex and Valerie were busy with customers, Sam pulled out his phone and sent Wyatt a text. "Sam, Wyatt, the owner of Corner Organics, just talked to me." "Wyatt, what do you want?" "Sam, he asked who came up with our promotion. He told me that if I give him a heads up before our next one, he'll pay me." "Wyatt, how much? Is that really the point?" Sam thought. He quickly typed back. "Sam, I didn't ask. I told him no." "Wyatt, you're an idiot. You should have squeezed some cash out of him first." "Wyatt, never mind. I know you're not capable of that." "Wyatt, looks like he's getting desperate. He'll probably try something else soon. I need to be ready for it." After telling Wyatt, Sam put the matter out of his mind. If it had been Wyatt, he would have definitely used the situation to his advantage, maybe even set up a counter scheme. But Sam wasn't that kind of person. He couldn't bring himself to do something like that, especially not when the store belonged to Wyatt. Even when he was working, if Sam ate a single banana, he'd insist on paying for it, even though Wyatt had told him countless times to eat whatever he wanted. For Sam, he was an employee. He did his job and got paid. Anything else felt like taking advantage. He was an honest person, almost to a fault. In the corporate world after graduation, that kind of person wasn't always appreciated. Luckily, he had met Wyatt. At 10:30 p.m., the store closed. Walking back to the dorm, Sam got a call from home. "No, not yet. I just got off work." "No, it's not tiring. I just sit in the store and handle the cash. I have enough money. I'm making $2,000 a month. I might even be able to save up for next year's tuition." "Dad, can you put my sister on? I want to talk to her for a bit." His little sister's voice soon came through the phone, and a faint smile appeared on Sam's weary face. He chatted with her for about 10 minutes before hanging up, just as he reached the dorm building. He walked up the 3 steps to the entrance, reaching to put his phone in his pocket. But in a moment of carelessness, the phone slipped from his grasp and clattered onto the hard concrete. A knot of panic formed in Sam's stomach. He quickly picked it up. The top left corner of the screen was shattered. It still lit up, but that small patch was now a dead zone of black. Even though the phone was several years old, Sam felt a sharp pang of guilt. A new phone cost hundreds of dollars, and, coming from a poor family, he had learned the hard lesson of how difficult it was to earn money. But what was done. He could only accept it. At least the crack was small, and the phone was still mostly usable. When Sam got back to the dorm, his 3 roommates had already showered and were just shooting the breeze. "Sam," Wyatt said as he walked in, "if you and Valerie get too busy at night, let me know. I can have Alex come over and help." "We can handle it," Sam replied, putting his phone down and grabbing his campus card. You guys are all done with the shower, right? If no one's using it, I'm going in. He grabbed a change of clothes and headed into the bathroom. Wyatt glanced at the time. He was about to climb into bed when Chris stopped him. What's up? Chris didn't say anything, just pointed at Sam's phone on the desk. Wyatt got up, walked over and picked up the phone. After a quick look, he placed it back down exactly as it was. He thought for a moment, then walked over to Chris and whispered, "Buy 2 phones, something in the $200 range. We'll give them to them after the promotion ends. 2, 1 for Valerie, too. They've both been working hard. We'll give it to them as a bonus. If you just give one to Sam, he won't accept it." Chris smiled and nodded. "Got it. I'll take care of it." Time flew by. By mid-April, the fruit store's big promotion finally came to an end. On the very same day, Chris got his driver's license. That night at 8 p.m., Wyatt took Sam, Valerie, and his 3 roommates out for a celebratory dinner at a buffet in the Metro Center Plaza. The promotion had been a huge success. The revenue from those 2 weeks was nearly equal to a month and a half of normal sales. Before they started eating, Wyatt, as the boss, gave a short speech. Then, at the right moment, he had Chris pull the new phones out of his bag and hand them to Sam and Valerie. "You two have worked incredibly hard," Wyatt said. "Consider these phones a bonus. But since you're getting these, there's no cash bonus this month, haha." Valerie was thrilled, smiling as she said, "Thanks, boss." Sam knew exactly what was going on. His phone had just broken, and now Wyatt was giving both him and Valerie new phones as a bonus. He didn't believe for a second that it was a coincidence. He quietly committed the gesture to memory, but didn't say anything. After dinner, Wyatt drove Valerie back to the women's dorm first before heading to the men's dorm. Before the car had even come to a full stop, Alex pointed out the window. "What are they doing over there? Are they installing a vending machine?" In a corner near the dorm entrance, 2 workers in uniforms were installing a machine that looked strikingly similar to their own vending machines. Wyatt glanced over, and his brow furrowed immediately. "What's going on? Competition? That's impossible. The head of logistics is Jessica's uncle. He would have told her if a competitor was moving in." Wyatt quickly got out of the car and walked toward the entrance, his roommates right behind him. "Hey, what kind of machine is this?" From a distance, it looked like a vending machine, but up close they could see it didn't even have a display window. One of the installers smiled. "This is a free condom dispenser. The university is installing them." "Free?" Wyatt asked. Just as he spoke, the other installer plugged it in. The machine lit up, and a line of text appeared at the top. "Free family planning supplies, self-service machine." On the right side was a card reader. You could swipe your ID, press a button, and a box of 10 condoms would drop out. Wyatt immediately slapped Alex on the back. "Give me your ID. Let's try it." Alex's face darkened. "Use your own." "I didn't bring mine," Wyatt said, and without another word, he reached into Alex's backpack, pulled out his wallet, and swiped the ID. Wyatt pressed the button, and sure enough, a box of condoms dropped into the dispenser. "This thing's not bad," Wyatt said, handing the ID back to Alex and cheerfully pocketing the box. Alex chased after him. "You son of a bitch, Wyatt. You used my ID, you have to give them to me." "What are you going to use them for?" The next day was Friday. After his morning classes, Wyatt left without even stopping for lunch. Cece had messaged him that morning asking when he was coming over. Her ear training teacher had called in sick, so her afternoon class was postponed. After lunch, Cece sent another message. When Wyatt didn't reply, she figured he was driving and didn't bother him again. She scrolled through her social media, glancing at the time in the top left corner of her phone every few seconds, her mind chanting a mantra. "Why isn't he here yet? Why isn't he here yet?" It was a classic case. Once a girl falls, she falls completely, often unable to pull herself out. It was the first time Cece had ever truly understood what it felt like to miss someone. Wyatt's arrival in her life was like a warm ray of sunshine piercing through a cold winter. Ever since he'd crashed into her world, everything had changed. She put down her phone and rested her chin in her hands, her mind drifting back over the series of funny and sweet moments since she'd met him. Their first meeting by the lake, the chance encounter at the lounge the first time they held hands. A sweet smile spread across her face as she replayed the memories. She thought about the day she had whispered, "I like you," into his ear, and a blush crept onto her cheeks. How did I ever say something so sappy? My brain must have short-circuited. I'm never saying anything that cheesy again. As her thoughts wandered, the phone on her desk buzzed to life. She snatched it up. Seeing it was a call from Wyatt, she jumped up and ran to the balcony. She saw his car parked downstairs, then flew out of her room and sprinted down the stairs. Wyatt got out of the car and watched her emerge from the building. "Miss me?" he asked. "Yeah," she blurted out. The word had barely left her lips before she regretted it. "I'm such an idiot. I just told myself I wouldn't say sappy things anymore. Ugh, I'm going crazy. Wyatt rubbed his stomach with a grin. I drove straight here after class. Haven't even had lunch yet. Want to grab a bite with me? MHM. They got in the car, and Wyatt expertly started it and pulled a U-turn. His left hand was on the steering wheel, but his right, which had been resting on the gear shift, surreptitiously found its way on his Cece's thigh. Cece glanced down, then quickly used both hands to lift Wyatt's hand and place it firmly back where it belonged. A few seconds later, his hand crept back over. Cece puffed out her cheeks and poked the back of his hand a few times with her finger, but then let it be. Are we going home for the first weekend in May? Cece shook her head. I don't know. Are you? The May Day holiday was only 3 days long in 2015, and the travel time would eat up a whole day. Wyatt figured since the semester was short and summer break was only 2 months away, it was better to just stay put. Let's not, then. We'll go back for summer break. It'll be here before we know it. Only the weekends go by fast. She pouted. Monday through Thursday crawls. Find something you like to do, and time will fly, Wyatt said with a smile. I don't have anything I like to do right now, Cece thought. She used to read comics when she was bored, but now she couldn't seem to focus on anything. From Monday to Thursday, the only thing she looked forward to was their nightly calls or video chats. But she would never tell Wyatt that. Around 4 in the afternoon, Leo called, asking if Wyatt was with Cece. When Wyatt said he was, Leo impatiently told him to come pick him up. Ever since he and Sophie had held hands, Leo had become like a male peacock who'd found his perfect mate. He came to see her every single weekend, and even on weekday afternoons when he didn't have class, he'd find an excuse to come over, desperate to display his colorful tail feathers. Wyatt didn't have anything else to do, so after getting the call, he and Cece drove over to pick Leo up. Leo was standing at the school gate with his backpack on. When he saw a white Mazda approaching, he immediately started waving. Wyatt pulled over. Are you going home for the long weekend? He asked after Leo got in. Nah, why would I go home for just 3 days? Are you two going? No. An idea struck Leo. Hey, Cece, can you do me a favor and ask Sophie if she's going home? Before Cece could answer, Wyatt shot him down. Get lost. Ask her yourself. Why should my girlfriend ask for you? Cece quickly chimed in. Exactly. Sophie and I are a team. Hearing the two of them ganging up on him, Leo just gave a sheepish smile. He pulled out his phone, wanting to message Sophie, but he had no idea what to say. He and Sophie had been texting even more frequently than Wyatt and Cece lately, and he felt like he was running out of things to talk about. Wyatt, yeah, what do you two usually talk about? Family, friends, values, what we ate, how we're feeling, stuff we see on the street, funny things that happen, good movies, how our day went, and a few sweet nothings thrown in. Why? You run out of topics with Sophie. Yeah, I'm not a smooth talker. Let me teach you a trick, Wyatt said with a grin. What trick? Leo asked eagerly. When you're talking to a girl, you first say what she wants to hear, then you say what she's willing to listen to, and only then do you say what you want to say. Leo looked completely lost. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to see Sophie's legs. You can't just say, let me see your legs. That makes you a creep. Wyatt explained authoritatively. You have to warm her up. First, you say, I bet your legs are gorgeous. Then you follow up with, they must be so long and smooth. And only then do you say, can I please see them? Leo rolled his eyes. You son of a bitch, Wyatt. You're messing with me again. Cece reached over and pinched Wyatt's thigh. You be quiet, she whispered. The round trip took an hour. By the time they got back to the Juilliard campus, the sun was beginning to set. Did you message Sophie? Yeah. She said she'll be down in 5 minutes. When a girl says 5 minutes, it's never actually 5 minutes. Wyatt opened his door. I'm going to get out and stretch my legs. Seeing Wyatt get out, Cece and Leo followed. Leo suddenly remembered something and asked with a grin, Wyatt, tomorrow's your birthday, right? What about it? You gonna give me a gift? I'm broke, Leo said with a cheeky smile. Let's stick to the old tradition. I'll treat you to a bowl of crossing the bridge noodles tomorrow night. In middle and high school, no matter whose birthday it was, one would treat the other to that specific noodle dish. They were poor students back then, with barely any money in their pockets. Wyatt stretched lazily. I guess that could work. No way, Leo said. You're rich now, and you still want me to treat you? You bastard. It's my birthday, and you won't even buy me a damn bowl of noodles? Wyatt walked over and threw an arm around Leo's shoulders, his hands squeezing down hard as he spoke. Leo yelped and tried to break free, but Wyatt's grip was like iron. The two of them started wrestling playfully in front of the dorm. In the middle of their scuffle, an unopened box of condoms tumbled out of Wyatt's pocket and fell to the ground. All three of them stared at it. Natural, latex, rubber, condoms. Leo had just read the words aloud when Wyatt suddenly clamped a hand over his mouth. Leo, man, I never knew you were this kind of guy. Wyatt exclaimed in mock horror. Leo struggled to explain, his words muffled into incoherent mumbles by Wyatt's hand. Cece quickly spun around, pretending she hadn't seen a thing. Wyatt seized the opportunity and whispered frantically in Leo's ear, "Dude, shut up." Sophie didn't see it anyway. Leo's eyes widened in outrage, his expression screaming, "I'm an innocent man. Why the hell should I take the fall for you?" Seeing that gentle persuasion wasn't working, Wyatt switched to threats. "Leo, my man, see that sunset? Doesn't it remind you of the $5,000 you owe me? Help a brother out this one time, and we'll call it even. He who takes the money is beholden to the giver." The mention of the debt instantly deflated Leo. Wyatt finally let go, quickly scooping the box of condoms off the ground and stuffing it into Leo's backpack. Leo shot him a look of pure misery. Wyatt, ever so thoughtful, then walked over to Cece with a smile. "Don't tell Sophie about this, okay? Leo's usually a really good guy." Cece stomped on Wyatt's foot. He yelped in pain. She wasn't stupid. Leo was as straight-laced as they come. He was the last person who would carry a box of condoms around. The moment she saw it, she knew it belonged to Wyatt. She hadn't said anything in front of Leo to save Wyatt some face, but now he was trying to frame his friend. She couldn't let that slide. She decided she would grill him properly later when Leo wasn't around. Just then, Sophie came downstairs. Wyatt quickly changed the subject and ushered everyone into the car. After dinner, Wyatt drove to a hotel and got a standard room with 2 beds. After they dropped their things off, Cece pulled Wyatt out into the hallway. "Sophie, Wyatt and I are just going for a little walk," she called back into the room. "We'll be back soon." Sophie's voice came from inside, and Cece dragged Wyatt away. The moment the elevator doors closed, Cece grabbed Wyatt's ear and twisted. "Ow, ow. What ow? I'm not even pulling that hard." Wyatt knew exactly what this was about. He launched into his defense. "No, wait, let me explain." "Explain, then." "So here's what happened. Last night, after dinner with my roommates, we got back to the dorm and saw them installing." Wyatt calmly recounted the story of the free condom dispenser. "One of my roommates got a box and stuffed it in my pocket. I thought I gave it back, but when I was driving over today, I felt it in my pocket and realized it was still there. I figured it would be a waste to throw it out. I mean, even if I don't need it now, I'll definitely need it later. So I just..." Cece's face turned beet red. "What do you mean, you'll definitely need it later? What on earth are you talking about?" As soon as the elevator doors opened, Cece snapped, "We're breaking up," and stormed out. Wyatt scrambled after her, grabbing her hand. I'm sorry. Please don't be mad, okay?" he pleaded pitifully. Cece tried to yank her hand away, but his grip was too strong. She turned her head away. "I don't care. We're breaking up." "No, I said we're breaking up. Doesn't count. I'm latched onto you now, and I'm not letting go. Go away. Stop following me." Wyatt spotted a round stone bench nearby and pulled Cece over to sit down. He crouched in front of her, still holding her hand. "You have to believe me. Everything I just said was true. If you don't believe me, I can call my roommate right now." He was bluffing, but to his surprise, Cece shot back. "Fine. Call him. I don't believe a word you say anymore." Seeing no way out, Wyatt reluctantly video called Alex. Alex answered, looking confused. "Why the sudden video call?" "Just shut up for a second," Wyatt said quickly. "Answer my question. That box of condoms, it was swiped with your ID, right?" "Yeah," Alex said, still confused. The call ended abruptly. Alex stared at his phone, baffled. "What the hell? You're the one who snatched my ID to get it, and now you're calling to ask me about it?" Wyatt immediately turned to Cece. "See? I told you. My roommate forced it on me." Cece fell silent, but still wouldn't look at him. "It was just a misunderstanding," Wyatt said with a grin. "Ah, don't be mad. Come on, give me a hug." "No, just one hug." After a little half-hearted resistance, Wyatt pulled Cece into his arms. To express her protest, she dug her nails into his rock-hard abs. Wyatt quickly changed the subject. "Tomorrow's my birthday. Did you give me the clothes you promised?" "I did," she mumbled. "This jacket I'm wearing is from high school. You might not believe it, but I've grown almost an inch since I started college. My old clothes are getting too small." The change of topic worked. Cece forgot her anger and said quietly, "I bought 2. A denim jacket and a black baseball jacket. The baseball jacket runs a little small, so I got to size up. I don't know if it'll fit. With my great body, everything fits. Shameless. It's true." Wyatt stood up and shamelessly lifted his t-shirt. "I've been running at the track whenever I have time. Look at these abs, they're getting more defined." Cece immediately covered her eyes, peeking through her fingers. I'm not looking. Sit down." Wyatt chuckled, and sat back down on the bench. What do you think Leo and Sophie are doing in the hotel right now? I don't know. You think they're up to no good? No way. Leo is way more decent than you. Okay, fiend, wide side. So in your eyes, I'm the bad guy. You are. You're the worst, baddest bad guy in the whole world. Well then, let the big bad guy have a kiss. Go away. Just one. Seeing Wyatt pucker up and lean in, Cece jumped her feet and ran. Wyatt got up and chased after her. Be careful when you're walking, he called. I am being careful. No, you're not. You've already stumbled into my heart more than once. So, you first. No, you first. Back in the hotel room, Leo and Sophie sat on separate beds, the atmosphere thick with an almost comical awkwardness. It was the first time either of them had been alone with someone of the opposite sex in a hotel room. Leo finally broke the silence. Are you going home for the May Day weekend? I don't have to, Sophie said. Huh? Sophie blushed. I mean, I can go back, but I could also not go back. If it had been Wyatt, he would have immediately said, Great, let's hang out then. But Leo, being a block of wood, just said, I'm not going home. Wyatt and the guys aren't either. Oh, can I call you Sophie from now on? Sure. Are you hot? No, your face is red. Sophie quickly got up and walked to the window. It's a little stuffy in here. I'll just open the window. She opened the window, but just stood there. Leo, curious, walked over. What's wrong? Sophie pointed to two figures on the street below. I think that's Wyatt and Cece. It is them. What are they doing? They're kissing. When Wyatt and Cece returned to the hotel room, Leo and Sophie were still sitting on separate beds. Wyatt glanced at Leo, then at Sophie, and smirked. What's with the long faces? Were you two up to no good? You're the ones who were up to no good, Sophie retorted. No way. Cece and I just went for a walk downstairs. Anyway, it's getting late. I should take you two back to your dorms. Sophie grabbed her bag, and the three of them headed back to the university. After dropping the girls off, Wyatt drove back to the hotel with Leo. Walking up the stairs to their dorm, Sophie suddenly said, I saw everything. Cece's heart skipped a beat. Saw what? She asked tentatively. I saw you and Wyatt kissing. You're lying, I didn't. Don't deny it. I saw you from the window. You must have seen wrong, Cece insisted stubbornly. Sophie snorted. I don't have bad eyesight. Well, I didn't kiss him. Sophie sidled closer to Cece and whispered, Cece, what does kissing feel like? Cece's face instantly turned crimson. I don't know. Go ask Isabelle. Sophie pouted. She's all talk. You're the only one in our dorm with actual experience. I have not. Back at the hotel. Wyatt, you're not human. What's wrong with you? Why are you cursing me out for no reason? Leo sneered. I saw you and Cece doing bad things downstairs. Wyatt, pulling clean clothes from his bag, asked, Did Sophie see too? Yep. No wonder she said that earlier. So what does kissing feel like? Painful. Painful. Wyatt walked in the bathroom, stripping off his clothes. She bit my tongue. It still hurts. You're an animal. After Wyatt finished his shower, the phone on the bed started ringing. Wiping his wet hair with a towel, he answered the call. Hey, boss lady, Wyatt said. Is Cece with you? Vivien asked. No, she's not. Okay, I'm sending you the photos now. Don't share them with anyone. Don't worry. I sent them on Messenger. The link is up on the online store, too. All right, I'll take a look. After he hung up, Leo immediately scurried over like a curious puppy. Who was that? What photos? What's so secret? Go check if the door's locked. It's locked. Only then did Wyatt open the pictures Vivien had sent. He scrolled through them, one by one. Even though certain parts were covered with digital stickers, the photos were still incredibly striking. The model was perfect, curvy where she should be, slender where she should be. They might have been photoshopped, but it didn't matter. Holy shit. Leo's eyes widened. Wyatt pushed him away disdainfully. Get lost. Stop acting like you've never seen a woman before. Bro, who sent you these? The owner of that lounge, where I worked last summer. She changed careers. On my advice, she opened a factory and is making lingerie now. Damn, that's awesome. Let me see again. Wyatt gave the pictures a quick scan, then opened his browser and typed Vixen into the search bar. The store link appeared immediately. He clicked on it, and sure enough, several products were already listed. Just then, Vivien sent a voice message. I've told the e-commerce manager to start running ads tomorrow to drive traffic. Good. Our conversion rate is going to be through the roof, Wyatt replied. Boss lady, just get ready to count your money. I hope so, Vivien said. I'll place an order now to leave a good review. Tomorrow, I'll get my friends to place orders too. That's what you should be doing, Vivien replied. You're a shareholder, after all. Haha, okay. I'm heading to bed then. Okay. Leo sat next to Wyatt on the bed. You have a stake in her factory? Yep, Wyatt nodded. I told her I'll put my share of the investment in later. Once this bull market is over, I'll invest the money. I'll probably have to work at the factory for a couple of months this summer. Leo grabbed Wyatt's hand, his face full of hope. Bro, take me with you. Wyatt pursed his lips. Do you know anything about design? Leo shook his head. Can you operate a sewing machine? Leo shook his head again. Do you know anything about e-commerce? Leo still shook his head. Then what the hell would you do at the factory? Wyatt asked, exasperated. Same as you, Leo declared righteously. I'm horny. Get the hell out of here. When have I ever been just horny? Damn, Leo muttered. I'm speechless. What does kissing feel like? Cece lay in bed all night, but she couldn't come up with an answer. Every time they kissed, her brain would shut down. It was like getting an electric shock, leaving her numb and without sensation. If she had to describe it in 3 words, it would be dizzy, weak, and excited. Perhaps because she had slept so well, Cece woke up at the crack of dawn. She washed up, put on her makeup, and then opened her closet to pick out an outfit. She had bought 2 jackets for Wyatt, a denim one and a baseball jacket. She had matching ones for herself. The denim jackets were identical in style and color, while the baseball jackets were a matching set of black and white. They were couples' outfits. Cece debated which one to wear. In the end, she chose the light blue denim jacket, planning to pair it with a black slip dress. Among the many dresses in her closet, this one was her favorite. She rarely wore it because it was very figure-hugging and always turned a lot of heads, something she usually tried to avoid. But today was different. It was Wyatt's birthday. She wanted to look her best. She changed into the outfit, then sat down and pulled open a drawer. From a neatly folded pile of socks, she selected a pair of cream-colored mid-calf socks. She finished the look with a pair of white sneakers. The vibe was effortlessly chic, the kind of cool that money couldn't always buy. Around 7:30 a.m., Wyatt drove up to her dorm. Leo wasn't with him. He knew today was all about Wyatt. When Cece got the message, she quickly packed the 2 new, washed jackets into a bag, grabbed her purse, and headed downstairs. She walked briskly up to Wyatt and handed him the bag with a radiant smile. Happy birthday. Wyatt felt like he was basking in the spring sunshine. I'm happy every day you're by my side, he grinned. There you go again, with the cheesy lines. Wyatt took the bag from Cece, seeing the 2 jackets inside, and noticing that the denim one was an exact match to what she was wearing, he immediately took off his own jacket and put on the new one. He struck a cool pose, spreading his arms wide. Well, how do I look? Handsome. Cece walked a circle around him, beaming. It's a perfect fit. Ha, my taste is amazing. I was asking you to praise me, not yourself. Cece pushed Wyatt toward the car, feigning annoyance. Stop being so vain. Let's go get breakfast. The morning flew by. They visited a local craft museum near the university, then went to the old downtown district to see a historic house that had been preserved. They had lunch there at a classic local spot, but the food was just okay. Cece was buzzing with energy all day, dragging Wyatt from one place to another. On the way back, she still seemed to want more. At a red light, she held her warm red bean milk tea, biting the straw and taking a small sip. Then she turned to Wyatt. Dork, let me try yours. Mine's a little cold. Just one sip. Wyatt held his mango pomelo sago drink out to her. Cece brushed her hair back, leaned over, and took a sip. The regular sugar one really is better. Wyatt put on a look of mock disgust, pulled a tissue from the center console, and meticulously wiped the straw. You got your saliva all over it. Cece's face immediately fell into a pout. You don't mind my saliva when you're kissing me, but you're grossed out when I drink from your straw? She snatched the drink from his hand in a huff, deliberately pulled the straw out of her own tea, stuck it in his, and thrust it back at him. You drink it, she ordered fiercely. Wyatt reached to take it from her. Cece pushed his hand away. No wiping it, she commanded. Looking thoroughly wronged, Wyatt took a small sip. Another one. He obediently took another sip. That'll teach you to be grossed out by me. Oomph. She finally returned the drink to him. When the light turned green, Wyatt started driving back toward the university. He glanced at the GPS. We're about 20 minutes out. Can you message your roommates and tell them to get ready for dinner? Oh, okay. Cece pulled out her phone and sent a message to her dorm's group chat. Hey ladies, dinner out tonight. We'll be back in about 20 minutes. Isabelle at Cece there's treating us again. Cece, it's Wyatt's birthday today. Ashley, no wonder you were out so early this morning. Isabelle, that explains it. Isabelle, another free, fancy meal. I'm so blessed. Ashley, Cece, can I borrow your foundation? Cece, go for it. They chose a place at the Great Shanghai Times Square, right next to Huaihai Park. Before they had a car, they usually ate near campus, but now that they were mobile, going a little farther wasn't an issue. Wyatt drove the whole crew to the plaza, and they went straight to a restaurant on the top floor called the Bayou, a trendy Creole place. Wyatt had already booked a table. The interior was decorated in a charming, vintage New Orleans style, creating a great atmosphere. Once they were seated, Wyatt told the waiter to start bringing out the food. "Wyatt, a meal here can't be cheap, can it?" Leo asked, looking around. Before Wyatt could answer, Isabelle laughed. "Of course not, but it's on Mr. Bossman Wyatt, so we just have to worry about eating and drinking." "Let me count how many nicknames you all have given me since we met," Wyatt said, ticking them off on his fingers. "Handsome, perv, scumbag, god, boss man." "So, which one do you like best?" Ashley asked. All eyes turned to him. Wyatt gave a wicked grin. "I don't like any of them. From now on, you can all just call me Daddy." "You, that's so gross. Maybe just have Cece call you that." Cece shot Wyatt a glare, refusing to engage. Wyatt turned to tease Leo. "Leo, what do you usually call me?" "Just Wyatt. I mean, the respectful title." "Respectful," Leo thought for a moment. Besides, Wyatt, the only other thing he called him was Dad when he needed a favor. Realization dawned, and he snapped, "Get lost. You ungrateful son." Sophie chimed in to defend him. "Wyatt, you can't always be so mean." Isabelle immediately threw her arms around Sophie, feigning a damsel in distress look. "Exactly. You're always bullying Leo. It makes our Sophie unhappy." The moment the words left her mouth, both Leo's and Sophie's faces turned visibly red. The rest of the table erupted in teasing laughter. The private room was filled with the sound of cheerful chatter. Wyatt had learned his lesson from Sophie's birthday and only bought a tiny cake to go through the motions. After dinner, Isabelle wanted to check out the Zara on the first floor. On their way up, the girls had spotted a sign for a 50% off sale. The moment Isabelle mentioned it, Ashley and Sophie were on board. "Cece and I are going to walk around Waihi Park next door," Wyatt told them. "Just message me when you're done, and we'll meet at the car." "Okay." The group split up. Wyatt and Cece left the plaza and headed for the park, while the other four went shopping. It was late April, and the weather was perfect, not too cold, not too hot. The sky hadn't completely darkened yet. Wyatt and Cece strolled aimlessly along a park path, a gentle breeze rustling the leaves, making everything feel peaceful. "Let's find a place to sit. I'm stuffed." "Okay," Cece agreed. She took Wyatt's hand and led him toward a lush patch of green grass. Folding the sides of her dress neatly, she sat down directly on the lawn, and Wyatt sat down beside her. Before, when they sat together, Cece would always leave a small gap between them. But now, she sat right next to him. In fact, she felt it wasn't close enough. After sitting, she scooted a little closer until their arms were touching. Then she linked her arm through his and slowly rested her head on his shoulder. "Today went by so fast. Did you have fun?" "So much fun," she murmured. "What about you?" "If you're happy, I'm happy," Wyatt said with a smile. Cece smiled back but didn't say anything. The world seemed to fall silent, with only the rustling of the leaves and the distant sound of traffic behind them. When Wyatt remained quiet, Cece bit her lip, hesitating. After a few minutes, she suddenly lifted her head, glanced around, and shifted back slightly. Taking advantage of Wyatt's distraction, she quickly slipped off her left shoe and sock. Then, with a soft pat, she placed her bare foot right in front of him. Wyatt froze. Cece lowered her head, her face flushing a delicate pink. It's your birthday today," she stammered. You can play with my foot." What do you mean it's my birthday, so I can play with your foot? What kind of person do you think I am?" "Oh, hell. What's wrong with my hand? Why isn't it listening to me? Damn it. This isn't my fault. My hand is moving on its own. It has nothing to do with me." Cece's feet were, admittedly, perfectly maintained. The ankle was slender and delicate, the arch a graceful, elegant curve. The skin was fair with a hint of rosy pink, making it look exceptionally alluring. As Wyatt's hands moved on their own accord, caressing her foot, Cece's own hands had clenched into tight fists. She kept her head down, biting her lip, trying to suppress the ticklish sensation spreading from her soul. After what felt like an eternity, her cheeks were burning. Is that enough?" Wyatt murmured, reluctant to stop. Cece finally pulled her foot back. Just as she was about to put on her sock, Wyatt shot up, snatched it from her, and then sat down in front of her, gallantly putting it on for her. Normally, Cece would have protested, but thinking that it was this big, bad guy's birthday, she didn't resist, obediently resting her foot on his knee as he dressed it. Just as the shoe was back on, a message came from Isabelle and the girls. Wyatt and Cece got up and started walking toward the plaza's parking garage. As they passed a public restroom, Cece said quickly, "There's a restroom. Go wash your hands." "Wash them for what?" "You just touched my foot," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "It's dirty." "It's not dirty," he countered. "It's fragrant." Cece balled up her fist and gave him a light punch on the back, then switched to a commanding tone. Go! 5 minutes later, the two groups met up in the garage. Isabelle, Sophie, and Ashley had all bought a few items of clothing. When Cece walked over, Sophie immediately ran up to her. Cece, you won't believe it. That store upstairs is having a sale, 50% off everything. I got 2 jackets for only 300 yuan. What kind did you get? I'll show you when we get back to the dorm. Okay. Wyatt ushered everyone into the car. On the way back, he remembered the Vixen online store and brought it up. Since everyone's here, can you all do me a favor? What favor? You know how I told you that a boss I know went into e-commerce? Her online store is live now. The name is Vixen. Can you each buy one thing and then send me the order info? I'll send money to the group chat to cover it. Once the package arrives, just leave a good review. You want us to post fake reviews? Exactly. Isabelle, phone in hand, frowned. What was the store name again? Vixen. VXEN. Isabelle typed the name into the search bar. Because they had started running ads, a bunch of links to the store's products appeared immediately. Sophie, Ashley, and Cece all leaned in to look. A second later, Wyatt, you damn pervert. You pig. Scumbag. Hey, Wyatt said, bewildered. What did I do to you guys? I asked for a little help with reviews, and you all start cursing me out? Isabelle crossed her arms. Only you could come up with such an indecent business. If it makes money, who cares if it's indecent? Well, I'm not buying any of it, Ashley declared righteously. It would be so embarrassing to pick up that package. What's so embarrassing? It's not like it won't have packaging. This kind of stuff is always shipped discreetly. Wyatt explained, look, just order whatever. I'm paying. Send me the order number, and I'll just have the owner send you empty boxes. How about that? Isabelle immediately perked up. You're paying for everything, right? Right. Then I don't want an empty box. It's free after all. Wyatt chuckled. See? It's all free for you guys. And some of it is actually wearable, like that schoolgirl uniform set. Wearable? That skirt is shorter than underwear. I'm not saying you have to wear it outside. You can wear it when you're alone. Or with your boyfriend. Sophie grabbed Cece's arm. Cece, you have to control him. Cece shook her head, her expression remarkably calm. Don't talk to me. I don't know him right now. Ha ha ha. The weekend flew by, and Sunday afternoon, Wyatt drove back to his own campus. The 2 days had passed in a blink, proving the old adage that happy times are always fleeting. He felt like it had ended too soon. Only Alex was in the dorm. Sam was working at the fruit store, and Chris, like Wyatt, had gone to see Paige on Friday night and hadn't returned yet. Wyatt didn't ask questions. He hung the new clothes from his backpack in the closet and tossed the dirty clothes he'd worn on Friday into a bucket to soak with detergent. Wyatt, I gotta tell you something. What's up? The campus singer competition finals are tonight. Lily already invited me, and you, to a dinner on Thursday. It's a celebration for the successful conclusion of the competition. Wyatt immediately shut it down. I delegated all the sponsorship stuff to you. You've been their point of contact. Why would I go? You can go represent us. Don't be like that, man. Lily specifically asked me to invite you. She said you're their biggest sponsor, and if you show up, it'll give her a lot of face. Lily, hey, you sound pretty chummy. So it's a date then? Thursday night. I'll come get you. We'll see. Don't we'll see me. It's all student government people. If you don't go, I'll be pretty intimidated on my own. Wyatt waved his hand impatiently. Fine, fine. If I'm free on Thursday, I'll go. Awesome. I'll message her back right now. Watching Alex happily texting Lily, Wyatt picked up his own phone and sent a message to Cece. Wyatt, I'm back at school. Cece, I know. Wyatt, miss me yet? Cece. Cece, we were just together an hour ago. Wyatt, I'm so done with this stupid university. I've only been back for a little while, and I already miss you. Cece, I don't believe you. Wyatt, it's true. Cece, how much do you miss me? Wyatt, you're all I can think about. Cece, Wyatt, I hope we can see each other tonight. Cece, tonight? Wyatt, in my dreams. Wyatt, a dream with just the two of us. Cece, you can't bully me in the dream, okay? Wyatt, no way. Wyatt, in my dreams, I bully you. I bully you so hard. Wyatt was in the middle of his happy banter when Chris pushed open the door and walked in. His first words were, Wyatt, I have some bad news. Wyatt was caught off guard. He frowned. Bad news? What bad news? Chris's face was grim. I was just eating at a dive bar on the food truck strip. I overheard a group of guys talking about opening a new store. Alex was confused. Stores on the strip close down, and new ones open up all the time. What's the big deal? They're opening a fruit store. What? At those words, Wyatt's expression changed instantly. What was bound to happen had happened. Corner Organics was no longer a threat, but another competitor would inevitably cut into their business. I sat near them and listened for a while. Chris continued. Their plan is to start a price war as soon as they open. They're prepared to lose tens of thousands of dollars to suck up all the customer traffic. And it sounds like they have a really solid supply chain, much cheaper than ours. I knew a new competitor would show up eventually, Wyatt said. I just didn't expect it to be this soon. Wyatt, what are you going to do? Wyatt shook his head. There's nothing we can do. They have channels. They have capital. They're not like Ron from Corner Organics. Ron's promotions never last long because he can't stomach the low profit margins. From what you're saying, this new owner has deep pockets. If we go head-to-head with them, we have no chance of winning. Then what? Winter and summer breaks already take up 3 months. Business is slow when it's cold. If another competitor comes in, after we deduct our costs and rent, there won't be much left. We'll take it one step at a time, Wyatt said. If we can't make money, we'll just sell the lease. We still have the company, after all. As a shareholder, Chris could only sigh. The good news was that the new store wouldn't open until after the summer, in September. That meant they had at least 2.5 more months of good profits. Wyatt went out for a quick dinner, then stopped by the fruit store. It was the busy evening rush. He just did a quick walk through and didn't mention the bad news to Sam or Valerie. Valerie was set anyway. Her grad school acceptance had come in last month. She'd be starting at their own university in the fall and would likely quit the part-time job to focus on her studies. Wyatt figured if business declined sharply, he could just have Sam run the store by himself until the lease was up. Leaving the store, Wyatt drove to the C&W Commerce office. He hadn't been by much lately. Jessica had everything running so smoothly that he didn't need to worry. The vending machines provided a steady, stable income. Besides arranging for restocking and paying the part-timers, there wasn't much else to do. When he arrived, Jessica, Megan, and Ruby were sitting together, chatting about the latest pop culture news. Have you guys been watching Game of Thrones? Of course. That Jon Snow is so handsome. Total dreamboat. Not my type. I'm more to guys like. Wyatt, what are you doing here? Wyatt rolled his eyes. I'm the boss. Is it weird for me to show up at my own company? Jessica quickly cut off the gossip. You're just in time. I have something to tell you. What is it? The university is hosting a national fencing tournament this month. The president noticed our vending machines and wants us to change all the ads to promotional images for the tournament. My uncle told me to run it by you. You can make the call on something like that, Wyatt said with a smile. There's something else. Go on. You've made a lot of money in the stock market recently, haven't you? Wyatt shrugged. It's been okay. Jessica gave him a look. Don't play dumb. You can see the market trends on any finance app. It's been going up since last year. You must have made a killing. I've made a little, he admitted. But we agreed from the start. You just parked your money with me. I pay you a 5% annual return. I'm not asking for your money, she said, rolling her eyes. I want to give you a heads up. I need that money back before summer break. What do you need it for? I want to renovate my grandmother's house over the summer. You're not saving it for your dowry. I can earn my own dowry. Ha! The timing was perfect. The bull market was projected to end right around summer anyway. No problem, Wyatt agreed readily. I'll definitely get the money to you before the break starts. He stayed at the office for about half an hour. Back in his car, he thought for a few minutes, then sent a message to Jessica's father, Charles Evans. Wyatt, Mr. Evans, are you free? Charles Evans had met with Wyatt a few times, and he'd check in a couple of times a month, mostly to ask about Jessica's life at school. He replied quickly, Charles, I am. What's on your mind? Wyatt, Jessica wants to take back the $30,000 she invested with me. She said she's going to renovate her grandmother's house. About 2 minutes passed. Charles, let her have it. That house has needed repairs for years. Find an excuse to give her an extra $15,000. I'll cover it. Charles, but whatever you do, don't tell her it was from me. Wyatt, no need, sir. The market's been great. I can tell her the initial investment has grown to $45,000, and that'll be believable. I can cover the difference, and I guarantee she'll accept it. Wyatt, but if I do that, could I ask you for a favor in return? Charles Evans chuckled to himself. He knew there was more to it. Charles, what kind of favor? Wyatt, I like to meet some influential people in the finance world. Charles was genuinely surprised by the request. In any business, connections and background were paramount. It was a lesson many adults never fully grasped. He was impressed that a college student like Wyatt already had this kind of foresight. He typed back 3 words. Why? Wyatt, I want to get into the investment industry. Charles, that circle isn't easy to break into. It requires not just a good eye, but also significant capital. Wyatt, I know. Seeing no further reply from Wyatt, Charles considered it for a moment, then responded, wait for my news. Wyatt slipped the phone back into his pocket, a faint smile playing on his lips. A vice dean of a top-tier university school of economics had access to an unimaginable amount of resources. $15,000 for a ticket into the world of high finance. It was a bargain. Barring any surprises, by the time this bull market was over, Wyatt's personal assets would likely approach the seven-figure mark. While $1 million was far from rich in a city like New York, it was enough to be considered well off. Wyatt felt it was time to start planning for the future. So far, not counting his future in-laws whose true identities were still under wraps, Charles Evans was the most powerful person Wyatt knew. And as the vice dean of Fordham's business school, he was the perfect gateway into the investment world. Wyatt wasn't about to let an opportunity like this slip by. The night passed, and the universally despised Monday arrived. Wyatt went to the dining hall early. After breakfast, he had just settled into his usual seat in the back row of the classroom when he received a picture from Valerie. He opened it and saw that their fruit store's rolling door had been splattered with red paint. He played the voice message below it. "Wyatt, look at this." Valerie's voice was full of frustration. "Someone threw paint all over our storefront. It's still wet and the smell is awful. Have you or Sam gotten into any arguments with customers recently?" Wyatt typed back immediately. "No, of course not. They're all students from our school. Why would we fight with them?" "All right, don't worry about it for now," Wyatt replied. "I have class this morning. I'll come over as soon as I'm done." "Okay," Valerie responded. After messaging her, Wyatt told Chris and Alex what had happened. They were just as baffled. Who would do something so trashy? Alex wondered. Chris was silent for a moment. "You think it was Ron from Corner Organics?" "You and I are on the same page," Wyatt said. "He was already jealous during our promotion. Last week he tried to secretly bribe Sam. If we're talking suspects, he's at the top of the list. Should we call the police?" "Without hard evidence, it's useless. Even if they proved it was him, he'd probably just have to pay a fine." Wyatt tapped his fingers on the desk, his index and middle fingers drumming a restless rhythm. After a long moment of thought, a cold smile spread across his face. "If you want to play, we'll play. First, we'll feign retreat. Then, we'll hide in plain sight. And finally, we'll kill him with a borrowed knife. What are you planning?" Wyatt saw the professor walk to the podium. He shook his head. "We'll talk at noon." The moment the bell rang, Wyatt drove Chris and Alex to the store. They rolled down the shutter and saw the glob of red paint, still emitting a foul odor. After examining it, Wyatt glanced in the direction of Corner Organics. "It was almost certainly him," he muttered. "He's usually standing out front, but today he's nowhere to be seen. Classic guilty conscience." Chris sighed. "We should have installed a camera out front." Alex pointed to a restaurant across the street. "That place has a camera. It should be able to see our storefront. Want me to go ask?" "Don't go empty-handed. Take a few apples." "Got it." Alex grabbed some apples and headed over. Wyatt and Chris waited for about 15 minutes before Alex came sprinting back. "Holy crap, you guys were right. The video quality is garbage, but you can tell by the guy's build that it's him." "Did you get a copy of the video?" "Yeah, it's on my phone. He got a shipment of goods late last night. On his way out, he walked by our store and just chucked a bucket of paint at our door." Wyatt snatched Alex's phone and watched the video carefully. A smile spread across his face. "Chris, you're coming with me. We're going to invite him out to dinner tonight." "What?" Chris stared at him. "He throws paint on our door, and you want to buy him dinner?" "Relax," Wyatt said. "I never do anything that puts me at a disadvantage." Evening arrived. The smell of paint had mostly dissipated, and customers began to fill the store. Wyatt checked the time and tapped Chris on the shoulder. Chris stood up and followed Wyatt across the street to Corner Organics. Compared to Cece's Fresh Market, Ron's store was dead. Wyatt's various promotions had built a loyal base of repeat customers who had formed a habit of shopping at their store. When Ron saw Wyatt and Chris approaching, his first reaction was a flicker of fear. "What do you two want?" he asked, his voice lacking any conviction. Wyatt found his demeanor amusing, but kept his own tone friendly. "Nothing much. We were just wondering if you'd let us treat you to dinner tonight, Mr. Ron. That is, if you'd grace us with your presence." "Dinner? You're inviting me to dinner?" Ron was completely bewildered. Last night, he'd been stewing over how Wyatt had stolen all his business. Seeing a half-used can of paint in his truck, he'd acted on impulse. When he saw Wyatt just now, he assumed his crime had been discovered, which was why he'd been so nervous. "That's right. My treat. I'm busy." Ron still suspected it was a trap and quickly refused. But Wyatt persisted with a smile. "I came to invite you to dinner because I think this rivalry between our stores isn't doing either of us any good. Instead of continuing like this, I was hoping we could find a solution that benefits us both. Good for you, good for me." That piqued Ron's interest. It was a fact that his business was worse than Wyatt's. He was curious to hear what this good for you, good for me solution could possibly be. After hesitating for a couple of minutes, Ron finally relented. "If you put it that way, I'll hear you out." The three of them found a dive bar on the strip with a patio and sat down in a private room on the second floor. Wyatt ordered a spread of 7 or 8 dishes and a few cans of beer. "Mr. Ron, Wyatt began, if we set aside all your costs, how much profit does your store bring in each month? Ron, thinking Wyatt was trying to feel him out, lied. Last month was a little over 2,000. This month will probably be better. Chris almost burst out laughing. He saw the store's books every day. Without a promotion, their net profit was just over 2,000 a month, and that was with the weather warming up. In the winter, that number would be much lower. Corner Organics' business was far worse than theirs. Ron was just pulling numbers out of thin air. Mr. Ron, you're not being sincere, Wyatt said. We're competitors. I know exactly what the profit margins on fruit are, and I know exactly how your business is doing. I could guess your monthly profit right now. Stop beating around the bush, Ron said, getting agitated. I don't want to hear this crap. Why did you really ask me here? He was desperate to know Wyatt's true motive. Otherwise, the uncertainty would eat him alive. Wyatt took a slow sip of beer. 2 things, he said with a calm smile. First, I want to know if you're the one who threw paint on my store's door. Paint? What paint? Mister. Ron, don't play dumb. Do you think I'd make an accusation like that without evidence? Chris, show him the video. Chris handed his phone to Ron. Ron's face flushed red before he even finished watching. He slammed his hand on the table. What the hell do you want? I'm telling you, I'm not easily scared. Mister. Ron, don't get so excited. I've already looked into it. Even if I reported this, the most you'd get is 5 days in detention. The main reason I invited you here today was to discuss the second matter. What matter? Even 1 day in detention was unacceptable to Ron, let alone 5. When Wyatt's tone softened, he immediately backed down as well. Wyatt smiled. You probably know that besides the fruit store, I also have a company that deals with vending machines. The company takes up a lot more of my time than the store does. I'm spread too thin, and frankly, I'm a bit short on cash. So, I'm thinking of selling the fruit store's lease. But the transfer fee will be a bit high. You're really selling? Ron stared at Wyatt, his face a mask of disbelief. Chris glanced between the two of them and finally understood Wyatt's true objective. He suddenly felt a wave of relief that he was on Wyatt's side and not his opponent. This guy was truly diabolical. After summer break, a new fruit store was set to open on the food truck strip. Chris had personally overheard the conversations between the new owner and his friends yesterday. They had deep pockets and access to cheaper supply channels. The moment they opened, Cece's fresh market would take a serious hit. Selling the store now was absolutely the right move. Of course I'm serious, Wyatt explained with a smile. But my store has built up a solid reputation. Even if I'm short on cash, I'm not going to just give it away. So, regarding the price, Ron was immediately hooked. How much do you want? From Ron's perspective, selling a business this successful was an idiotic move. If he could get his hands on this store, he would once again have a monopoly on the entire university's fruit market. It was a surefire way to make money. Wyatt said casually, 30,000. 30,000. Ron was flabbergasted. Even Chris was surprised by the high asking price. They had taken over the lease for only 20,000, and they'd already been operating for nearly a year. Mister. Ron, don't get excited, Wyatt said. 30,000 might sound like a lot, but you have to understand, I'm not just selling a storefront. My store has a large base of loyal, repeat customers. They've formed a habit of shopping with me. Compared to the rent, that's far more valuable. And most importantly, if I sell to you, you'll have one less competitor. Ron still shook his head. 30,000 is still too high. Wyatt feigned reluctance. Then name your price. But don't even bother if it's below 20,000. No matter how much I need the money, I'm not stupid enough to sell a profitable business for pennies. Ron thought for a long time, then tentatively said, 20,000 then? Wyatt wasn't satisfied. He shook his head. 25,000. I'll turn the store over to you in mid-May. May, June, September, and October are the best months for a fruit store. You'll make a good profit right away. Ron, seeming to fear Wyatt would back out, gritted his teeth. 22,000. We signed the contract within 3 days, and you have to promise you'll never get into the fruit business again. Seeing Ron's eager expression, Wyatt knew that 22,000 was likely his bottom line. But he didn't agree immediately, instead putting on a conflicted expression. Agreeing too quickly would arouse suspicion. Chris watched from the side, silently admiring Wyatt's acting skills. Fine, Wyatt finally said. 22,000 it is. Contract within 3 days. Give me 10 days to clear out my inventory. No, 10 days at most. What Wyatt had said was true. May and June were peak season. Every day of delay was a day of lost profit. Wyatt sighed. 10 days it is. But you have to give me the money within 3 days. I'm in dire need of cash. Otherwise, I wouldn't be thinking of selling. Deal. As they talked, the food began to arrive. But neither of them had any appetite. One was thinking about immediately throwing the money into the stock market. taking advantage of the rising A shares to leverage another big win. The other was thinking about changing the store sign and reopening immediately after taking possession, hoping to make back $5,000 before summer break, and maybe even recoup his investment by the end of the year. After a hasty meal, Ron stood up. Then it's settled. You prepare the contract, I'll prepare the money. We'll get this done in 3 days. Great. I wish you prosperous business, Mr. Ron. When I come to buy fruit from you in the future, you'd better give me the cost price. Ron laughed heartily, his mood instantly improving. Watching Ron leave, Chris immediately pulled his chair closer to Wyatt. If this guy knew another fruit store was about to open on the strip, wouldn't he just die of anger? This is what you call profiting from an information gap, Wyatt said. Go and try to confirm that news you heard yesterday. On it. Wyatt returned to the fruit store and stayed until around 10 p.m. before he told Sam and Valerie about the sale. Valerie took the news well. I'm starting grad school next semester, so I wouldn't have been able to keep working here anyway. This gives me some time to travel a bit. Of course, Wyatt smiled. And if you ever need anything at school, you know you can always call me. You know I will. Okay, let's call a night. We can clean up tomorrow. They turned off the lights and pulled down the shutter. As Wyatt, Chris, and Sam walked back toward the dorm, Wyatt finally explained to Sam the real reason for selling the store. I'm afraid you won't understand, Wyatt explained carefully. Selling the store now, for a high price, is our best option. Having another competitor on the same street would have a huge impact on us. It's actually very easy for a well-funded business to crush a smaller one. Let me give you a case study. There was a pool hall with a booming business and a great reputation. A corporation took an interest and offered the owner a franchise deal. But the owner wasn't stupid. Why would he go work for someone else when his own business was doing so well? He refused. The corporation didn't say much, just smiled and left. But less than a month later, a new pool hall opened right across the street. They offered 3 days of free play, and even after that, their prices were half of what other halls charged. They were deliberately losing money. After about 6 months of this, the once booming pool hall went bankrupt because all its customers had been poached. As soon as it closed, the corporation's pool hall immediately raised its prices back to the original rates. So, if we were making $100 a day, with a new competitor, our profit might not just drop to $80. Think about it. After we opened, didn't Corner Organics business plummet? Chris grinned. We spent $20,000 to take over this place, and after running it for almost a year, we're getting back $22,000. Ron was desperate, Wyatt said. If his business were even a little better, he wouldn't have been willing to pay such a high price. We have to keep this a secret. Don't let Ron find out before the contract is signed. Don't worry, we know. Wyatt clapped Sam on the shoulder. After the store is sold, you can come work at the office. The work there is pretty relaxed. It's a bit far from the dorm, but we have those 2 electric scooters. We won't need them after we sell the store, so you and Alex can each have one. Sam said quietly. Do you really need more people? If not, I don't have to go. Need people? Of course we do. Wyatt shot a look at Chris and squeezed his shoulder. Chris immediately understood. We need someone to manage customer service, Chris chimed in. Sam nodded, but didn't say anything more. As they walked up the steps to the dorm, Wyatt said softly, Chris and I are only children. Sam, you and Alex both just have a little sister. We're all the pillars of our families. I hope none of us ever end up as the scraps of society. The pillars of our families. The scraps of society. Sam was deeply moved by his words. Ron seemed terrified that Wyatt would back out. The very next day, he found Wyatt at noon, announcing that he had the money ready and asking when they could sign a contract. Wyatt was inwardly ecstatic, but played it cool. What's the rush? Didn't we agree on 3 days? Ron was practically vibrating with impatience. He couldn't wait to have monopoly on the campus fruit market. He came by once at noon, and then again in the evening. Wyatt deliberately dragged his feet for another day before finally signing the paperwork. The moment the $35,000 hit his account, Wyatt transferred it straight into his stock portfolio. He turned to Chris. I'll get your share back to you at the end of June, with a little extra for interest. Chris knew Wyatt's habit of pouring every spare cent into the market. He asked a few questions, and after hearing Wyatt's confident assertion that the stocks would continue to climb, he not only told Wyatt to hold on to the money, but also transferred him the $30,000 he'd been saving for a car, asking Wyatt to invest it for him. Wyatt, of course, didn't refuse. The combined $65,000, leveraged 2-to-1, became nearly $200,000 in the market. In the current bull market, a pig could make money, let alone someone like Wyatt, who had a cheat sheet for the next decade of every industry's trends. After signing the transfer agreement, Wyatt had Sam and Valerie run a massive clearance sale. In the blink of an eye, it was Thursday. After dinner, Alex became Wyatt's shadow, following him wherever he went, clearly determined to stick to him. Wyatt knew Alex wanted him to come to the Student Government Association dinner that night, but he played dumb, letting the sun sink lower and lower in the sky. Finally, Alex couldn't take it anymore. "Wyatt, it's getting late. Shouldn't we be heading out?" Wyatt feigned ignorance. "Heading out where? Didn't we say we were going to the SGA dinner tonight? Did we? I must have forgotten." "Bro." Alex grabbed Wyatt's arm, his voice pleading. "Please, just come with me. I'm going to be a nervous wreck if I go alone." Wyatt chuckled. "If you want to see Lily, why don't you just ask her out?" "You got to take it step by step, man," Alex said, his bravado gone. "You know, get to know her a little first." "What? Did you and your girlfriend hold hands the first time you met?" "Not quite," Wyatt said with a grin. "We held hands on the third date." Alex had clearly been preparing all afternoon. He'd showered, changed into a flashy blazer, and meticulously styled his hair. He was taking this dinner seriously. Wyatt decided to stop torturing him. He clapped Alex on the shoulder. "It's just past 7. I'll stay with you until 9 max." "Deal." "Okay, then text Lily and ask her where it is." "On it." Alex excitedly pulled out his phone and sent a message. But after several long minutes, there was no reply. The silence was awkward. Seeing this, Wyatt gave him a nudge. "Just call her. She might be busy and not see the text." "I don't know, man. Is that cool? Are you going to call or not?" "If not, I'm going back to the dorm." Wyatt pretended to start the car. Okay. I'm calling G's." Alex frantically stopped him. Sitting in the passenger seat, Alex quickly placed a call to Lily through his messenger app and put it on speaker. Her voice came through almost immediately. "Hello. Hey, Lily, it's Alex. You mentioned the dinner tonight." "Oh yeah, I'm on my way there now." "Are you and Wyatt heading out?" You never told me where it is," Alex said, embarrassed. "Oh my god, my bad. I totally forgot. I'll send it to you right now. It's near Metro Center Plaza. We booked the whole patio at this dive bar. Just come on over." "Got it." "Is Wyatt with you? Make sure you bring him. He's our biggest sponsor for this thing, after all." "He's right here." "Great, see you guys soon." "Bye." After hanging up, Lily sent the address and the name of the bar. As Wyatt started driving, he mulled things over. He understood why Alex was dragging him along. The guy was a coward. But he couldn't figure out why Lily was so insistent he be there. He'd barely interacted with her. Alex had handled the whole sponsorship deal. Did she have some other motive? He pushed the thought aside. It took less than 10 minutes to get there. After parking, Alex flipped down the sun visor and meticulously rearranged his hair in the mirror one last time before they both got out. At the entrance, Alex hesitated, about to text Lily to see if she could meet them. It felt awkward to just barge in on an SGA party. But before he could even unlock his phone, Wyatt had already walked inside. "Dude, wait for me." The place was packed. The ground floor alone had 20 or 30 people, all deep in conversation. Wyatt spotted a familiar face, Trevor, the head of the arts committee, whom he'd met through Amber and played basketball with once. He seemed like an okay guy. Trevor saw Wyatt and came over. "Wyatt, what are you doing here?" Wyatt shrugged. "Someone from your external affairs committee invited me." "John." "Nope. Lily." Trevor looked surprised for a second, then pointed upstairs. "She just got here. She's on the 2nd floor. Want me to take you up?" "No, we got it. You go ahead." Wyatt headed for the stairs. The 2nd floor had a much better vibe, and the people up here were clearly the ones with actual positions in the student government. It was funny. They were all just college students, but the sense of hierarchy was crystal clear. Whether it was a meeting or a dinner party, they arranged themselves by rank. All the pomp of politics with none of the power. Wyatt's arrival immediately drew a dozen pairs of eyes. Lily spotted him and hurried over to make an introduction. "Everyone, this is Wyatt, a freshman from the business school. He's the main sponsor for our campus singer competition." The moment she finished, someone spoke up, his tone dripping with sarcastic humor. "Isn't this supposed to be an internal SGA dinner? Why are we inviting outsiders?" Lily immediately put her hands on her hips. "Chad, I invited them." "What's that supposed to mean?" Chad waved a dismissive hand, flipping his long bangs out of his eyes. "Nothing, just kidding." He laughed, but then noticed Wyatt was just staring at him, his gaze unwavering. It started to unnerve him. "Hey, what are you staring at me for?" Chad asked, his brow furrowing. Wyatt shrugged. "I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the tattoo on your arm." Chad quickly pulled his sleeve down. "It's the 21st century. Can't you look at a guy with a tattoo like a normal person?" Wyatt's retort was swift. "If you didn't have a tattoo, I'd look at you like a normal person. But you do have one. If I still treat you like a normal person, then didn't you get in for nothing?" "You." Chad's face flushed crimson. He'd heard stories about Wyatt, but had never met him. He couldn't believe a freshman would talk back to him like this, in this setting. Feeling his reputation was on the line, He slammed his hand on the table and shot to his feet. What's that supposed to mean? Wyatt shrugged, completely unbothered. Nothing. Just kidding. Why are you getting so worked up? Chad was speechless. Wyatt had just thrown his own words right back in his face. Lily quickly stepped in to smooth things over, finding Wyatt and Alex a couple of empty seats. About 10 minutes later, a commotion drifted up from downstairs. A young man in a sharp suit walked up to the second floor, flanked by a few others. As he appeared, the 20 or so people already seated all rose to their feet. Mr. President. Seeing everyone stand, Alex instinctively started to get up, but then he saw Wyatt sitting motionless beside him and hesitated. In the end, Alex stayed seated. He figured sticking with Wyatt was the right move. The late arrival was Jason, the president of the Business School's Student Government Association. The people with him were the other top officers. Jason's eyes scanned the room, lingering for a moment on Wyatt and Alex before he held up a hand with a practiced smile. Everyone please sit down. It's just a casual dinner. No need for all the formalities. Only then did the group sit back down. Jason, sit at our table. Mr. President, come join us. Jason, we've got plenty of room over here. Wyatt didn't know any of these people and had never really interacted with them. Tonight was an eye-opener. He had no idea the bureaucracy and ass-kissing in student government were this intense. There were 4 tables on the second floor. Jason surveyed his options and finally chose to sit at Lily's table. Soon, the servers began bringing out the food. But, strangely, no one picked up their chopsticks. The other tables were buzzing with conversation, but at their table, most of the talk was directed at Jason, a torrent of flattery. We've been sitting here for half an hour, Wyatt thought. Are we going to eat or what? Seeing that no one else was making a move, Wyatt couldn't be bothered to wait any longer. He unwrapped his chopsticks and started helping himself to the dishes. The people next to him stared dumbfounded. What is he doing? The president hasn't even started eating yet. Jason's face cycled through shades of annoyance, but ultimately, he had no choice but to gesture for everyone to start eating. Alex, sitting next to Wyatt, was mortified. It was their party, after all. But from Wyatt's perspective, he had every right. I sponsored you guys for $3,000. I'm damn well going to eat. Are these two in the SGA as well? I don't think I've seen them before, Jason asked casually. Lily, sitting beside Wyatt, quickly answered, No, this is Wyatt. He's a student here, but he's also the sponsor for our event. I invited them. In truth, Jason knew exactly who Wyatt was. During the scandal involving Wyatt and Jessica Evans, Jason had considered Wyatt a rival for a time. He had pursued Jessica himself, and though she'd rejected him, he still kept tabs on her. That's when he'd first heard of Wyatt. So you're Wyatt, Jason said. I've heard the professors mention you when I'm in the faculty office. Have you ever considered joining the student government? Wyatt shook his head, his rejection blunt. Not interested. I'm usually busy. It wasn't uncommon for such invitations to be declined, but to be shut down so decisively was rare, if not unheard of. Wyatt's tone made it clear he held the SGA in little regard and felt no need to show deference to Jason just because he was the president. Wyatt focused on his food, planning to leave as soon as he was done. Being around this group was grating on his nerves. Feeling the awkward tension, Lily picked up a bottle of beer, poured a glass, and offered it to Wyatt with a smile. Wyatt, thank you so much for your support for the campus singer competition. I'd like to toast you. Wyatt put down his chopsticks and poured himself a glass of Sprite. Just as he was about to raise it to clink with Lily's, someone else at the table chimed in. Lily's a girl, and she's drinking beer. You're a guy, and you're drinking soda. Oh, I'm driving. So what if you're driving? Aren't you afraid people will laugh at you for that? Wyatt was about to retort when Alex suddenly reached out and touched his thigh. Wyatt paused, then decided to let it go. Ignoring the others, he clinked glasses with Lily, ate for another 10 minutes, then made an excuse and headed downstairs. Alex glanced at Lily, then at Wyatt, and got up to follow him. Once they were in the car, Wyatt finally let loose. What a bunch of clowns. Don't you ever drag me to one of those things again. If you hadn't tapped me twice back there, I would have lit that guy up. Tapped you twice. Alex looked completely baffled. When did I tap you twice? When that idiot was running his mouth. Didn't you touch my thigh and then tap it a couple of times? No, man. That wasn't me. Wyatt's brow furrowed. Upstairs, Alex had been sitting on his left and Lily on his right. When that guy was talking, Wyatt had distinctly felt a light touch on his thigh, followed by 2 gentle pats. He hadn't thought much of it, assuming it was Alex telling him to cool it and not stoop to their level. But now, hearing Alex deny it, the truth hit him. The person who had touched his thigh wasn't Alex. It was Lily. The realization made him turn to look at Alex, his eyes filled with pity. Alex felt a chill. What are you looking at me for? Alex, listen to me. Let's just give up on pursuing Lily, okay? Get lost. I was just starting to make some headway, and now you're telling me to quit? What? You can't stand to see me succeed. Seeing Alex, so worked up, Wyatt sighed and didn't say anything more. He just thought to himself, you're on your own, buddy. Good luck. As soon as he got back to the dorm, Wyatt saw 2 new messages from Cece. The first was a picture of some delicious-looking food. The second was a voice note. He pressed play, and her familiar voice filled the room. Goofball, look, I found another amazing restaurant. I'll take you there tomorrow night. Wyatt quickly replied. Does that mean we can have a late-night snack together tomorrow, too? Cece, what kind of snack? Wyatt, you... After saying their goodnights to Cece, it was already 10:30 p.m. But Wyatt didn't put his phone away just yet. He sent a message to Vivien, checking in on the online store. Ever since the shop officially launched, Vivien had been staying at the office late into the night. When she saw Wyatt's message, a smile spread across her face. The operations manager just told me we had a huge surge in orders. We sold over 100 pieces today. Wyatt, sounds like business is booming. Make sure the customer service team stays on top of things. Maintaining our high rating is crucial right now. Vivien, yep, I've already started expanding the e-commerce team. Wyatt, I'll talk to my classmates tomorrow morning and get another wave of positive reviews going. I'll send you the order numbers. You can just ship out empty packages. Vivien, is it okay for your classmates to know about this? Vivien, won't you feel embarrassed? Wyatt, who has time for face when you're doing business? Vivien, /thumbs up emoji. Wyatt, all right, it's getting late. I'm going to bed. You should get some sleep too. Vivien, okay. Wyatt had just tucked his phone under his pillow when it buzzed again. He assumed it was Vivien, but when he pulled it out, he saw the message was from Lily. Lily, you asleep? Wyatt, just about to. What's up? Lily, sorry about tonight. The student government is a mixed bag, all kinds of people. Don't take it personally. Wyatt, it's fine. It's not like I see them around anyway. Lily, how about I treat you to dinner tomorrow, just us? Wyatt, no need to trouble yourself. Wyatt, I'm seeing my girlfriend tomorrow. Wyatt, tired. Going to sleep now. Lily, okay. Lily, good night. Wyatt didn't reply. He switched his phone to silent, shoved it under his pillow, and went to sleep. The next day, Friday, he had 2 morning classes. Wyatt got to the classroom early and started going from person to person, asking for help with the product reviews. He didn't tell them he was a partner in the lingerie business. He just said a relative of his had started the store. They were all classmates, and it wasn't costing them anything, so everyone readily agreed. The only person Wyatt didn't ask was Ethan. That guy was a bit of a wild card, and Wyatt was worried he'd go tattling to the student advisor again. Meanwhile, at the fruit stand, the clearance sale was in full swing. Wyatt wasn't foolish enough to hand the store over to Ron as soon as the inventory was gone. This was peak season. He was going to drag it out for the full 10 days. He'd already arranged for another truckload of fruit to be delivered that night, telling Chris, Alex, and Sam to unload it quietly so Ron wouldn't notice. After sorting everything out for the evening, Wyatt grabbed 2 boxes of strawberries from the store and drove over to the Juilliard School. The bell rang, signaling the end of class. Cece immediately gathered her books and left the classroom, practically bouncing on her feet. Isabelle, Sophie, and Ashley followed behind, exchanging knowing smiles as they watch her go. I bet you $100 Wyatt is waiting downstairs for her, Isabelle said first. Ashley laughed. Is that even a bet? I saw her texting him during class. Besides Wyatt, who else could make Cece lose her composure like that? Sophie added with a gentle smile. Sure enough, as the 3 of them exited the building, they saw a familiar Mazda parked nearby. Cece was already jogging towards it. Seeing that the dorm was a bit of a walk, Isabelle picked up her pace, hoping to catch a ride. As soon as she got in the car, Isabelle grinned. Wyatt, everyone in our class knows you now. If this keeps up, the whole school is going to know who you are. Wyatt just laughed, not responding to her comment. Instead, he leaned over and said to Sophie, Sophie, your door isn't closed properly. Oh, she said, quickly pulling it shut again. Wyatt drove them to their dorm. He handed them the 2 boxes of strawberries he'd brought from the store and waited in the car. A few minutes later, Cece came back down. She hopped into the passenger seat, buckled her seatbelt, and asked eagerly, Where are we going? Anywhere. It's your call today. Cece thought for a moment, a rare instance of her making a decision. Want to see a movie first? It's still early. Sure. See what's playing? Cece obediently opened her phone and scanned the new releases. The ones with the highest ratings are The Longest Ride and Furious 7. Which one do you want to see? Let's do The Longest Ride. If it were up to Wyatt, he would have chosen Furious 7, but he didn't object. He'd already seen the entire franchise multiple times anyway. They drove to the mall and took the elevator to the top floor. After a short wait, they had their tickets and found their seats in the theater. Since it was a Friday afternoon, it wasn't very crowded. Cece had bought tickets for the second-to-last row, right in the center, with no one on either side of them. Wyatt placed the drinks in the cup holders and held a large bucket of popcorn. After the ads, the movie began. Wyatt watched for a little while, but quickly lost interest in the sappy romance. He pulled out his phone and started scrolling through his social media feed. Noticing he wasn't paying attention to the movie, Cece quietly scooted closer to him and rested her head on his shoulder. That was his cue. Playing on his phone now would be a bad move. Wyatt quickly pocketed it, wrapped his arm around Cece, and began gently stroking her arm, his hand moving up and down in a slow, repetitive motion. Cece was still a bit shy. Though her heart wasn't pounding like it used to, the thought of all the other people in the theater made her blush. She gently placed her other hand over his, a silent request for him to stop. Wyatt complied, his hand stilling. He watched the movie, munching on popcorn. Seeing that Cece hadn't moved, he picked up a piece of popcorn and held it to her lips. She opened her mouth and ate it. After the nearly 2-hour movie ended, Cece took him to the restaurant she had mentioned the day before. But Wyatt had just polished off most of the popcorn by himself and wasn't hungry at all. To make her happy, he forced himself to eat a large bowl of rice, all while praising how delicious the food was. "Are you full?" "I'm stuffed." Wyatt let out a small burp, which made Cece giggle. She stood up and grabbed her purse. "Should we head back now?" "Back? Back where?" "To my dorm, of course." Cece's face turned a bright red. She spun around and walked away. "Who agreed to that?" "I never said yes." Wyatt grabbed his phone and hurried after her. "It's only 7. Come hang out with me at the hotel for a bit. Leo isn't coming until tomorrow." "No, please, pleading won't work." Cece walked faster and faster, and Wyatt struggled to keep up. Seeing her march ahead without a single glance back, he finally called out from behind her. "Wifey, why are you walking so fast? Wait for me." Hearing the word wifey, Cece, whose face had only been slightly flushed, now turned the color of a ripe apple. She stopped, and, as Wyatt caught up, she pointed a finger at him, as if warning him not to talk nonsense. But then she noticed people staring and quickly grabbed his arm, pulling him away in a hurry. Once they were in the car, Cece started her punishment, drumming her small fist against his arm a dozen times before issuing a fierce little warning. "If you ever shout things like that again, I'll pretend I don't know you." Wyatt just grinned and started driving toward the hotel. He had booked the room that afternoon while Cece was in class. It was their usual spot. He'd stayed there so often that even the front desk staff recognized him. When he'd checked in earlier, the clerk had teased him. "Hey, handsome, how come you didn't bring your girlfriend today?" Wyatt had shot back with a smile. "Hey, can you do me a favor?" "What's that?" "Next time we come, if my girlfriend asks for 2 rooms, just tell her everything else is booked and all you have left is a king suite." The receptionist had giggled. "You're so bad." So, when Wyatt walked into the lobby that evening with Cece, the receptionist gave him a knowing, meaningful glance. Wyatt pretended not to see it and led Cece into the elevator. The enclosed space made Cece feel inexplicably warm. She glanced at Wyatt, who was standing too close, and gave him a little push. "What did you push me for?" "You're too close." "It's hot." Wyatt rolled his eyes and leaned against the elevator wall with a smirk. "I got us a room with 2 beds. Why don't you just stay the night?" "No way," Cece pouted, holding her ground. "I'll stay for half an hour, tops. Then I'm going back to campus." "You still don't trust me," Wyatt complained. Cece snuck a glance at him from the corner of her eye. Seeing his disappointed expression, she quickly explained, "If I don't go back to the dorm, the girls will talk." An opening, Wyatt thought. He kept up the unhappy act. "Who cares what they say? Besides, it's not our first time." "Cece, I didn't bring a change of clothes." "Wyatt, I'll drive you to get them." "Cece, no, I want to go back to the dorm." The elevator doors opened. Wyatt didn't say anything more, simply leading her to the room. He swiped the key card, pulled her inside, and immediately locked the door behind them. Before the lights were even on, he had pulled her into a corner, holding her tightly. Cece's heart hammered against her ribs. She pressed her hands against his chest, her voice a pleading whisper. "What are you doing? If you're like this, I'm not coming to a hotel with you again." Wyatt's arms were wrapped around her waist. "I'll take you back to your dorm in a bit," he murmured. "Just let me hold you for a while. I missed you so much." Cece, who had been incredibly tense, relaxed slightly at his words. She lowered her hands and buried her face in his chest. Wyatt had employed the classic door-in-the-face technique. First, make an outrageous request that is sure to be rejected. Then, follow up with a much more reasonable one. The probability of the second request being accepted was nearly 100%. It was a trick that had never failed him with Cece. Her hands, not knowing where else to go, finally settled on the small of his back. She didn't dare move, quiet as a kitten nestled against his chest. Wyatt placed the key card on the nightstand, feeling his own heartbeat accelerate as hormones flooded his system. His Adam's apple bobbed. You're so hot, Cece murmured, lifting her head to look at him. She had meant it as a simple observation, but she'd barely gotten the words out before his lips captured hers in a fierce kiss. Oh no! Cece's gaze grew hazy. Even in the dimness of the room, she immediately squeezed her eyes shut. 2 minutes later, Wyatt suddenly pulled his head back, sucking in a sharp breath. Why do you always bite me? I couldn't breathe, Cece said, looking pitiful. My fault. Let's try again. Cece dodged him immediately. She pulled a tissue from her pocket, wiped her lips, and mumbled, "Go away." Wyatt chuckled, finally inserting the key card and turning on the lights. Cece kept her head down, refusing to look at him. He saw her sit on the edge of the bed and went to sit beside her. The moment he sat down, she stood up and moved to the other side of the room. All right, I'm going to take a shower first. I'll take you back to your dorm after. Seeing that Cece wasn't responding, Wyatt stood up and began to undress. Jacket, t-shirt, belt. Cece turned her head and saw he was about to take off everything. She shot up from the bed. Go take them off in the bathroom, she exclaimed. Wyatt obediently grabbed his pants and disappeared into the bathroom. Cece pouted, muttering a few curses like goofball, jerk, and pervert under her breath. When she heard the sound of the shower, she got up and neatly folded the clothes he'd left on the bed. Once they were folded, she sat quietly on the bed again, her mind drifting back to the feeling of their kiss. She was lost in her thoughts when Wyatt's phone, lying on the bed, suddenly started ringing. The ringtone snapped her back to reality. She stood up, grabbed the phone, and walked to the bathroom door. Goofball, you have a call. Who is it? I don't know, there's no name. Can you answer it for me? Seeing that there was no caller ID, Cece didn't think much of it and answered the call. She held the phone to her ear and said softly, "Hello." On the other end, David practically jumped out of his skin. He fumbled for the remote and muted the TV, then held the phone on speaker for Sarah to hear. When the caller didn't respond, Cece asked again, "Who is this?" Sarah's eyes widened. She snatched the phone, took a deep breath, and said with a warm smile, "This is Cece, right?" Cece was stunned. How does she know my name? She thought. Yes, it is, she replied softly. May I ask who's calling? I'm Wyatt's mother, Sarah said cheerfully. You can just call me Sarah. Oh, hello, Sarah. Cece's face turned visibly red. She couldn't believe her first interaction with Wyatt's parents was happening like this. She was completely caught off guard, her words tumbling out in a stutter. Where's our Wyatt? Sarah asked. The words slipped out before Cece could stop them. He's in the shower. In the shower? Cece clapped a hand over her mouth, instantly regretting her words. Why did I have to say he was in the shower? That's basically telling his mom that we're in a hotel room together. The thought made her shrink with embarrassment. Sarah was sharp. Hearing the silence on the other end, she immediately pieced together the situation. All right then, she said smoothly. I'll just call back later. Okay. Goodbye, Sarah, Cece stammered. A motherly smile spread across Sarah's face. Goodbye, dear. Wyatt, what's wrong? Why didn't you save your mom's number in your phone? Cece demanded, her face a mask of misery. Wyatt laughed from inside the bathroom. I know their numbers by heart. I never saved them. Was that my mom who called? Yes. What did she say? Nothing, Cece mumbled. She sat fuming on the bed, her mind a chaotic mess. When Wyatt came out of the bathroom, toweling his hair dry, he saw her sitting silently on the edge of the bed. He sat down next to her and asked, feigning ignorance, What's up with you? Cece turned away from him. Nothing. This is a good thing, isn't it? Wyatt said with a grin. You have to meet my mom eventually. You were going to have to call her Sarah sooner or later. Now that you've done it once, it won't be awkward next time. Cece considered his words and realized he had a point. But then a new worry struck her. Did you tell your parents everything about me? No, just the basics. Your mom asked what you were doing, and I said you were in the shower. Do you think she's getting the wrong idea? Definitely, Wyatt laughed. My mom lives for gossip. Cece's mouth formed a pout, her expression full of grievance. Then what do I do? Your mom is definitely going to misunderstand me. It's fine. I'll call her later and explain everything. Cece pointed a finger at him, her tone serious. You'd better explain it clearly. Don't worry. Like I could not worry. Cece's pout was so cute that Wyatt couldn't resist teasing her. I'll just tell my mom the truth, he said. We just kissed, sat on the bed for a bit, and that's it. Nothing else happened. Cece shot to her feet. You can't say that. Then what should I say? Just, you can't say that. But I'm telling the truth. Wyatt said with a pained expression. Cece grabbed his ear and twisted it gently. The truth isn't good enough. You can't tell people about that stuff. What stuff? The kiss. Cece trailed off as she saw Wyatt's mischievous grin. Realizing he was just messing with her, she gave his ear another tug, grabbed her bag, and made for the door. Wyatt quickly pulled her back. Wait, don't go. I know what to say. I'll tell her I left my phone at your place, and you came to the hotel to drop it off. I just happened to be in the shower, which is why you answered. Cece thought the explanation was perfect. Okay, then that's what you'll say. You got it. And shouldn't you be taking me back now? Wyatt held her hand, giving a gentle pull that brought her into his lap. He rested his head on her shoulder and whispered, Why are you in such a hurry to go back to the dorm? Don't you want to spend more time with me? Sitting on his lap, feeling the warm breath on her ear, Cece spoke in a low voice. Can I ask you a question? Go ahead. Have you ever been in a relationship before? Wyatt's brow furrowed, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. Why are you suddenly asking such a weird question? Isabelle says that most guys who haven't dated are like Leo, Cece explained. But you're completely different from him. She says Leo is too much of a straight arrow, and you're too much a player. Not everyone is like Leo, Wyatt said immediately. So, have you or haven't you? I haven't, Wyatt said firmly. If you don't believe me, ask Leo. He wasn't exactly lying. He had pursued another girl, Chloe, in high school, but she had turned him down. So she asked Leo. He would confirm that Wyatt had never officially dated anyone. Cece then asked another question. What about in the future? Will you still be like this? She wanted to ask, will you love me forever? But the words were too embarrassing to say out loud, so she rephrased it. Wyatt knew exactly what she meant, but he deliberately teased her. Of course not. Just as her expression was about to change, he quickly added with a smile, I'll love you even more. Ugh, there you go again. Cece was both flustered and annoyed, especially sitting so close to him on his lap. Hearing such cheesy words at this distance made her head spin. Wyatt knew when to stop pushing. He lifted her off his lap and set her on the bed. Just as she thought he was about to try something else, he simply reached out and gently booped her nose. After he dried his hair, he grabbed the car keys and took her downstairs. On the way back to her dorm, Cece repeatedly reminded Wyatt to explain the situation properly to his mother. Wyatt readily agreed, but as soon as he dropped her off, he turned around and called his mom. His opening line was, Mom, next time you want to call, can you send a text first? Why do you always have to ruin the mood? Sarah's voice shot back. You little brat. Luring a nice girl to a hotel room late at night. What kind of person are you? If I'm not a person, what am I? You're an animal. If I'm an animal, then what does that make Dad? He's an animal too. David, who had been listening in, was indignant. Hey, if you two want to talk, fine. But why do you always have to drag me into it for no reason? You be quiet, Sarah snapped. She then asked Wyatt, Are you still at the hotel? I just dropped her off at her dorm. I'm back at the hotel now. That's better. So, Mom, what did you call for? It was your father who was trying to call you. Oh, well, if it's nothing, I'm going to bed. Wait a minute, Sarah exclaimed. I saw your dad's text history with his friend Bob, and I can't figure out what they're talking about. You could translate for me. Okay. Bob sent 3 question marks to your dad, and your dad replied with 3 sleepy face emojis. Bob was asking, what's up? And Dad said, tired, about to sleep. Then Bob sent a penguin emoji and 2 beer mug emojis, and your dad replied with a tiger and a house. Bob said, want to come out for a beer? And Dad said, the tigress is home. Below that, it's just more emojis. Bob sent 3 little dancing people, and your dad replied with a horse. Bob said, they're hot girls, and Dad replied, on my way. The moment Wyatt finished, he heard the sound of a phone dropping onto a couch. Then, from the other end of the line, came the sound of his father's mournful wail. A tigress, am I? On your way, are you? Mr. Evans, you are not sleeping in my bed tonight. Honey, please, let me explain. Saturday was a whirlwind of eating, drinking, and having fun. By the time they returned to the hotel that evening, Wyatt and Leo collapsed onto their respective beds, looking utterly drained. Wyatt, Leo said, his voice weak, tomorrow, let's just stay in the hotel. I can't take another day out with them. They're exhausting. Great minds think alike. Did you leave the high school Facebook group? A long time ago. Why? No reason, Leo said with a chuckle. Just someone mentioned you, saying you've forgotten all your old classmates. Oh, and something else. Spit it out. It looks like Chloe got a rich new boyfriend. She hasn't said anything, but Jenna keeps bringing it up in the group. Not my problem. Also, Leo continued, Sophie asked me today if you'd ever had a girlfriend before. Wyatt sat up, suddenly serious. What did you say? I said no. I mean, you chased Chloe in high school, but you never actually got her. Good man. Some people in the group are trying to organize another reunion. Steve and Gary are leading the charge. Those two idiots. After failing to get into college, one became a mechanic and the other got his commercial driver's license to drive trucks with his dad. They're so bored they just spam the group all day. Just ignore them, Wyatt said. You only need 3 or 5 good friends. Haven't you ever heard that you're the average of the 6 people you spend the most time with? The average? Yeah, if your friends are all exceptional, you'll likely be exceptional too. If your friends are losers, you'll probably be a loser. That's why, after you get out into the real world, so many people are desperate to climb into elite circles. Wyatt paused. By the way, I forgot to tell you something. I sold the fruit store. At that, Leo sat up too. Why'd you sell it? Wasn't it making good money? After summer break, another fruit store is opening on the food truck strip. The owner has deep pockets, and it would have definitely hurt business. I sold it at a high price before anyone else knew. Leo nodded. So you're just going to focus on the vending machine business now? Nope, Wyatt said with a grin. I'm planning to get into the world of investing. No way. To Leo, investing was a high-level concept, something ordinary people didn't touch. He leaned in closer. How much money do you actually have now? Wyatt shrugged, his tone breezy. Almost $1.5 million. At the beginning of the month, I bought a stock that went on a crazy run. It hit its trading limit for over 20 days straight, and the price shot up nearly 20-fold. Holy crap. Leo grabbed Wyatt's hand, his voice trembling with excitement. Bro, you're not messing with me, are you? I've only told you. Don't spread it around. My lips are sealed. Once I got a solid footing in the investment world, I'll bring you in with me. Leo let out a syrupy bro, then buried his head in Wyatt's chest, nuzzling him like a cat. Wyatt rolled his eyes, pushed him away, and grabbed a change of clothes to go shower. Leo lay back on the bed and pulled out his phone. He opened his messaging app and saw that the usual suspects in the high school group were at it again. Steve, just did the maintenance on a Range Rover today. The customer gave me a $40 tip. Haha. Gary, just hauled a load down to Florida. Gary, made $1,500 in 2 days. Dylan, you guys are living the life. I should have just skipped this stupid community college. Jenna, Chloe's boyfriend, just took me out to dinner yesterday. The bill was over $100. Steve, what does Chloe's boyfriend's family do? Jenna, they own a chain of karaoke bars. Jenna, they already have 2 locations in Riverwood. Steve, at Chloe, when are you going to invite us to hang out? Gary, +1. Chloe, I'll see if I have time during summer break. Leo scrolled through the chat history. In the past, he might have felt a twinge of envy seeing them brag. But now, looking at the messages, he just felt a sense of disdain. What league are you guys even in? He thought. My bro Wyatt is a millionaire. Riverwood, in the industrial park, at the Vivien's secret clothing factory. The factory workers had all clocked out at 6. Because the online store was new, they didn't need a huge inventory. But on the second floor, the e-commerce team was still working overtime with Vivien. Even Hannah, who had initially been embarrassed by the nature of the industry, had stayed. After spending some time at the factory, she had gradually gotten used to the work environment. Beep, 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 a series of rapid beeps suddenly broke the silence of the office, which was usually filled only with the sound of keyboards. The operations manager, designer, and customer service reps all turned to look at the machine making the noise. Next to the operations manager's computer, an order printer was spitting out a continuous stream of new shipping labels. The manager, a woman named Pam, checked it and exclaimed, I think we're going viral. The others rushed over. As they watched the printer continue to churn out labels, Hannah ran to the next room. Without knocking, she burst in and said excitedly, Boss, our online store is blowing up. Are you sure? Yes, just now a flood of orders started coming in. You have to come see. Vivien quickly got up and went to the next office. The printer was still running, and a thick stack of order labels had already accumulated. Vivien was both thrilled and confused. Pam, what's going on? I have no idea. The orders just exploded. I think our product must have gotten pushed to the homepage by the algorithm and a ton of people saw it. Watching the printer, Vivien said excitedly, What are you all standing around for? Go get the inventory ready. Let's try to ship everything out tomorrow morning. Hannah, you help too. You got it. The group worked tirelessly until 3 in the morning, packing all the orders. By then, the warehouse was piled high with packages ready to be shipped. Even though it was the middle of the night, Vivien was wide awake, buzzing with excitement. She had wanted to take the team out for a late-night meal, but seeing how exhausted they all were, she sent them home. After they left, Vivien sat alone in the warehouse, looking at the shelves overflowing with packages, an involuntary smile spreading across her face. Vivien knew this was just the beginning. Just as Wyatt had said, once sales picked up, the lingerie category had its own built-in traffic. They wouldn't have to worry about sales in the future. Everything was heading in the right direction. Vivien desperately wanted to share the good news, but it was so late she didn't want to disturb anyone. Instead, she just took a picture of the warehouse and sent it to Wyatt, followed by a voice message. Wyatt, our orders exploded tonight. Wyatt didn't see the messages until after 8 the next morning. He quickly sent a voice note back. Congratulations. Looks like we're about to get rich. Vivien, who had finally fallen asleep around 4 a.m., was still sound asleep in her bed. On her nightstand was a framed photo of two people and a half-finished glass of wine. The wind billowed through the open window, making the curtains dance as a beam of sunlight fell across the bed, covering her like a warm blanket. Wyatt spent the rest of the weekend laying low. On Sunday morning, he tricked Cece and her friends into coming to the hotel to play a few rounds of poker, with the loser getting their face drawn on. After they were tired of playing, the four girls sprawled out across his bed, claiming it as their own. After checking out at noon, the group had a simple lunch at a nearby rice bowl joint, and by 1:30, Wyatt was driving back to campus. The dorm was still empty. Sam was at the fruit store, Alex was at the student government office, and Chris was out with Paige. Back in his room, Wyatt shut the door and started a video call with Vivien. He was a partner in the factory, after all. Just like Vivien, he wanted the brand to become the #1 name in the lingerie industry. Vivien had just woken up and was eating breakfast alone at home. She looked a bit tired, her hair messily draped over her shoulders. After answering the call, she propped her phone on a stand. With one long leg propped up on her chair, she scooped oatmeal from a bowl. I was up so late working yesterday. I'm still at home. Wyatt grinned. Health is wealth, boss. Vivien laughed. I was too excited last night. I couldn't fall asleep even after I got home. I had to have a little wine to finally pass out. Wyatt teased. Sounds like you need a man in your life. Vivien shot him a glare. Get lost. Let's be serious. Sales have taken off, so what's the next step? We strike while the iron is hot, Wyatt said. Time for new products. Vivien paused, spoon halfway to her mouth, and looked at Wyatt on the screen. She nodded. That's what I was thinking too. Wyatt continued. Let's leave the lingerie line as is for now. I think the current collection is strong enough. Summer's just around the corner. What do you think about launching a swimwear line? Swimwear? Exactly. I looked into it last night. There aren't many dedicated swimwear brands, and most of what's out there is fast fashion. We can create a high-end swimwear brand, so that when people think of swimwear, they think of Vivien's Secret. Wyatt elaborated. Unlike lingerie, we can use higher quality materials for swimwear and really focus on quality. Women's swimwear has a few main categories: bikinis, sporty one-pieces, two-pieces, classic one-pieces. We'll ignore men's and children's for now and focus only on women. They have the strongest purchasing power. We'll stick to our system. You design, I approve. Let's aim to have the final products ready by the end of May. Boss, are you listening? Vivien snapped back to attention. I'm listening, but how do you know all this? Because, Wyatt said, we men know you women better than you know yourselves. He pressed his point. Let me ask you, for lingerie, who buys more, men or women? Vivien thought for a second. Men. 80% of the sales are to men. When I saw that data, I thought the system had made a mistake. See? That tells you a lot, doesn't it? Vivien rolled her eyes. It just proves that men are all perverts. Fine. I'm not going to argue with you. Let's stick to this plan. Start by finding some reference images for me. Otherwise, I have no idea where to start. Deal. I'll have my buddy send me a few websites later. April flew by. After the 10-day period was up, Wyatt took down his sign and handed the store over to Ron, selling him all the shelving and equipment inside. The day he got the keys, Ron hired painters to freshen up the walls and brought in 2 large refrigerated display cases. A week later, the second Corner Organics opened for business. Since Ron now had a monopoly on the campus fruit market, business was indeed quite good. Wyatt saw him several times when passing by the food truck strip, always with a broad smile on his face. Meanwhile, Vivien's project was moving quickly. Drawing on her experience with the lingerie line, she cranked out 3 different design concepts for the swimwear in just 10 days. After 2 rounds of revisions from Wyatt, they finalized 8 designs. The collection featured 2 distinct styles, one cute and sweet, the other sexy and sophisticated, each available in several colors. Wyatt was very satisfied. He'd already told Cece that she was going to teach him how to swim this summer. Of course, learning to swim was just a pretext. What he really wanted was to see her in a swimsuit. Time passed quickly. In mid-May, Wyatt finally received a call from Jessica's father, Charles Evans. Realizing this could be his chance, Wyatt quickly motioned for Alex to mute his computer and answered the call with professional gravity. Hello, Mr. Evans. Charles's voice was concise. I'm going to send you an address. I want you to meet me there tomorrow night at 6:30. I'm taking you to a private gathering. Wyatt readily agreed. Okay, I'll be there on time tomorrow. Aren't you curious where I'm taking you? Charles asked with a hint of smile. A little, Wyatt admitted. Ever heard of Apex Capital? It's their founder Robert Zhao's birthday tomorrow. I have a bit of a history with him. I usually turn down these kinds of events, but you mentioned you wanted to meet some people in the investment world, so I decided to take you along. Thank you, Mr. Evans. After hanging up, Wyatt immediately turned to Chris. Chris, don't you have a blazer? Yeah, what's up? Can I borrow it for tomorrow? I'm going to a place where appearances matter. Chris laughed. That blazer only cost me a couple $100. If you really don't want to look out of place, you should probably buy your own. Wyatt waved him off. No need for that. A few $100 is good enough. That night, after showering and lying down in bed, Wyatt received a video message from Riley, a cousin he hadn't heard from in a while. The video was recorded by her mom, Wyatt's aunt. Riley was wearing a birthday hat, sitting in front of a cake and making a wish. The video reminded him that it was his cousin's birthday. His own birthday was in April, and Riley's was in May, just a day apart on the calendar. If he were home, his aunt would surely have brought Riley over to their house to celebrate together. He quickly sent a message. Happy birthday, Riley. Riley had already finished her cake. She listened to Wyatt's voice message twice, then deliberately typed back. Wyatt, did you forget my birthday? Wyatt was honest. I did, sorry. Your cousin has been really busy. He quickly added, let me send you some cash for a present. You can buy whatever you want. Riley's fingers flew across the screen. I don't want money. Wyatt, can I ask you a question? Go ahead. Do you love me? I mean like family love. Without hesitation, Wyatt replied, of course. Riley immediately followed up. If you had $10, how much would you give me? Wyatt, $9. Riley continued. And if you had $1 million? Wyatt, still $9. Because my love for you doesn't change. Riley, /furious emoji /furious emoji /furious emoji. Wyatt, what kind of crazy things are you thinking about all day? I'm telling you, you need to spend less time looking at that nonsense online. Riley, stingy. I'm not talking to you anymore. And true to her word, she didn't reply. Wyatt smiled to himself and muttered, little girl, your cousin really does have over $1 million now. Did you really think I was going to give you $900,000? The next evening at 5:30, Wyatt set off for Fordham University's Rose Hill campus. The two schools were less than 12 miles apart, a 25-minute drive. When he arrived at the university entrance, Wyatt sent a text to Charles Evans. About 15 minutes later, Charles emerged from the campus. Over here, Charles rolled down his window and waved Wyatt over. Wyatt hurried to the car, greeting him politely. Charles was all business. You'll ride with me. I'll bring you back when it's over. Sound good. Charles Evans wore a suit year-round, perhaps adding a trench coat in the winter. He and his daughter, Jessica, didn't share many physical resemblances, but their personalities were strikingly similar. Serious, reserved, and cool toward strangers. Sensing the awkward silence in the car, Charles initiated a conversation. How's business lately? It's good. I've sold the fruit store. The vending machines bring in a steady income each month, and I barely have to manage them anymore. Jessica is handling most of it. Charles had already heard about Jessica's situation from his brother, Peter. He was quite pleased. He didn't have high demands for his daughter. He just wanted her to have a stable career and to be healthy and happy. He nodded and changed the subject. So, tell me, how did you get interested in investing? Because that's where the big money is. Only a small fraction make money. The vast majority lose their shirts. Besides, I've told you before, the barrier to entry in the investment world is very high. Wyatt smiled. Actually, I've already invested in 2 companies. Charles raised an eyebrow, surprised. Which 2? One is a gaming studio called MiHoYo, and the other is a clothing brand that specializes in lingerie and swimwear. I invested $5 million in the former for a 10% stake, and I'm putting $75,000 into the latter for 33%. Where did you get that kind of money? I borrowed it, Wyatt said. To show Charles his determination, he quickly added, I've been playing the stock market since last summer. As you know, we've been in a bull market. This year, I even used 2-to-1 leverage. As of now, I have about $1.5 million in my account. I plan to pull it all out before summer and focus entirely on investing. $1.5 million? Yes. Charles couldn't help but turn to look at Wyatt, a flicker of astonishment in his eyes. In a city like New York, $1.5 million wasn't a staggering sum, but Wyatt was not yet 20 years old. To have earned that much through his own vision and ability at his age spoke volumes about his future potential. A pang of regret hit him. It was a shame Wyatt already had a girlfriend otherwise. The thought made Charles sigh inwardly. He barely had a chance to speak with his own daughter these days. How could he possibly play matchmaker? He just smiled and said nothing more. The car finally stopped in front of a private club near the river in Brooklyn. Charles rummaged through his briefcase, sifting through a stack of VIP cards before finally finding a sleek black one. They got out of the car together. The club's entrance was inconspicuous. If not for the discreet sign that read, "The Sovereign Club," passers-by would have assumed it was just a large mansion. As Wyatt followed Charles to the door, they were stopped by two hostesses in classic, elegant cocktail dresses. Both were at least 5'5", and compared to them, the music counselors at the karaoke bars were in a different league entirely in terms of both looks and poise. When Charles presented the black VIP card, one of the hostesses immediately led them inside. The club was a private, members-only establishment with a fixed number of memberships. Possessing a black card like the one in Charles's hand meant you were a significant figure in the city. It was no surprise Charles had one. As the dean of Fordham's Business School and a former professor, many of his past students were now major players in the financial world. His briefcase was full of similar cards, all gifts. They passed through the front courtyard, along a covered walkway, through a rear courtyard, and across a small floating bridge before finally reaching the main area of the club. A dozen or so people stood in small groups near the entrance. Inside, it was even more crowded. Everyone was dressed in formal attire, holding delicate glasses of wine. The moment Charles stepped in, someone called out, "Dean Evans." At the sound of his name, the crowd, which had been engrossed in business talk, turned and converged on him. "Dean Evans, it's been too long. Dean, it's so hard to get a moment with you these days." Wyatt had underestimated Charles's social standing. He hadn't realized how respected he was even among these titans of industry. After a round of greetings, someone's gaze finally landed on Wyatt. A middle-aged man with glasses pointed at him and asked, "Dean, and who is this young man?" Charles smiled. "He's a student of mine." Then he quickly added, "He's in business with my daughter now. I brought him here to get a feel for the world." Hearing this, everyone in the group immediately concluded that Wyatt was Charles's chosen son-in-law. The praises began to flow. What a fine, talented young man. Anyone who earns the dean's approval must be exceptional. Charles didn't bother to correct them. He gestured toward the main hall. "I'm going to go say hello to Robert. It is his party, after all." He gave Wyatt a subtle look, and Wyatt followed him inside. The club was a world of contrasts. The exterior was different from the interior, the courtyards different from the main hall. When Wyatt stepped into the grand hall, he was immediately captivated by the decor. The entire space had soaring ceilings, with a magnificent crystal chandelier hanging in the center. The walls were adorned with famous works of art. The sound of trickling water came from unseen fountains. Lush green plants filled the corners, and various pieces of rosewood furniture were scattered throughout. Every detail screamed luxury. Wyatt took it all in and sighed himself, "Damn, it's good to be rich." Just as Wyatt was silently lamenting the lifestyles of the rich and famous, a hearty voice called out from the staircase, "Dean Evans." A middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair, accompanied by a younger man who looked to be in his mid-20s, descended the stairs. Hearing his name, Charles walked toward them. "Robert, long time no see." Robert Zhao shook Charles's hand with a broad smile, and the two exchanged pleasantries. From their conversation, Wyatt learned that Robert had also studied abroad in his youth and had known Charles back then. After returning home, one had dedicated himself to university education, while the other had started his own investment firm. Now, both were highly successful. "Michael," Robert said after their greetings, calling the young man to his side. "Let me introduce you. This is Dean Evans from Fordham School of Business. You should call him Uncle Charles." The young man politely greeted him. "Uncle Charles, this is my nephew, Michael Zhao," Robert said with a smile. "He just got back from his studies at USC. I'm planning to have him get some experience at my company. If you have the chance, I'd appreciate you giving him some guidance." Charles offered a few polite remarks and then, in turn, introduced Wyatt. Robert offered similar praises before turning to his nephew. "You two go mingle. Your Uncle Charles and I need to discuss some business." "Okay," Michael said with a slight smile. Once the two older men had walked away, he turned to Wyatt. "Come on, let's get some air." Michael led Wyatt through a series of corridors and doorways, finally ending up in a deserted rear courtyard. After a quick glance around to make sure they were alone, he pulled a pack of unfamiliar cigarettes from the inside pocket of his suit. He expertly tapped one out, placed it between his lips, and asked, "You smoke?" Wyatt shook his head with a smile. "No thanks, I'm good." Michael shrugged, put the pack away, and flicked open a Zippo lighter. He lit the cigarette with a flourish and said casually, "I didn't smoke before I went abroad either, but I had this idiot roommate who smoked in the dorm all the time. I was breathing his secondhand smoke constantly, so eventually I just started smoking myself. Are you studying at your father-in-law's university? No, Wyatt replied, not bothering to correct the assumption about his relationship with Charles. He answered candidly, I'm at the business school at Riverwood. It's pretty average compared to Fordham or USC. Can't compare to you. Michael chuckled. Bullshit. The only reason I got into USC is because my uncle donated a building to the school. I didn't even have to take the SATs. I just went straight to the States halfway through my senior year. Still, that's pretty enviable. That's true, Michael said, not with shame, but with a smug grin. All roads lead to Rome, but some people are born in Rome. But now that I'm back, the good times are over. How so? Nobody cared what I did over there. I could do whatever I wanted. Now I'm back, and I'm about to start working in my uncle's company. He's been strict with me my whole life. I'm probably going to get chewed out every single day. Did you study finance too? Wyatt asked, curious. Yeah. Have you ever thought about making a name for yourself? Michael shook his head. Never thought about it. The market here is already saturated. My uncle got to where he is because he rode the wave of the times. No matter how hard I work now, I'll never surpass him. So I might as well just coast and enjoy life. Everyone's got their own way of living. If I were in your shoes, I probably wouldn't be too ambitious either. That won't work for you, Michael said, clapping Wyatt on the shoulder and blowing a smoke ring like a pro. If you're not ambitious, that father-in-law of yours will never approve of you. Wyatt paused for a second, then joined in with a sly grin. Michael smoked about half the cigarette before dropping it on the ground and stamping it out with his shoe. He patted Wyatt's shoulder again. Come on, let's go back and put on a show. I have to be on my best behavior tonight, or my uncle will lecture me again. You should probably hit the restroom and use some mouthwash first, Wyatt advised. The realization hit Michael. Right, almost forgot, he laughed. Wait here, I'll be right back. Sure. Michael quickly disappeared. Wyatt found himself liking the guy. Not every rich kid was an arrogant jerk. Michael, despite his flaws, seemed like a decent person, frank and without pretense. When Michael returned, he led Wyatt back to the main hall. They stood together, chatting quietly. Wyatt didn't know most of the people there, so he asked Michael, who began to point people out one by one. That bald guy over there is the VP of China Securities, last name Zhong. I forget his first name. The one with glasses is the vice president of the Pudong Development Bank, last name Liu. The group talking over there, from left to right, are the CFO of Shanghai International Group, a director from Silver Crest Investments, and the executive vice president of Shanghai State-Owned Assets Management Co. You got all that? Michael asked. Mostly, Wyatt said with a smile. As long as I can recognize them next time we meet, I'll be fine. Come on, let's go see if the cake is ready. The cake? Yeah, he hired a famous pastry chef from here in the city to make it. I heard it's 6 tiers. It should have been delivered by now. Michael led Wyatt to a room behind the main hall. Just as he'd predicted, the cake had arrived and was already on a trolley. It was 6 tiers high, topped with a large longevity peach made of white chocolate. Michael looked it up and down and rolled his eyes. That peach was definitely my uncle's idea. So tacky. The longevity peach symbolizes long life and health in our culture. Older people care a lot about that stuff. Michael flagged down a passing staff member. Excuse me, can you get us something to eat? I'm starving. Wyatt had driven straight to meet Charles after his afternoon class and hadn't eaten dinner. Hearing Michael, he chimed in, I haven't eaten either. Could you bring an extra portion, please? The staff member Michael had stopped was a temp. The club didn't usually host events this large and had to hire extra help. Are mini cakes okay? Perfect, as long as it fills the stomach. The young woman couldn't have been older than 24 or 25. Hearing their request, she quickly hurried off to the kitchen. A few minutes later, she returned with a platter of small cakes. Wyatt and Michael took them and began eating. Hey, miss, can we get some water? I'm choking here. Of course. Thanks. As they were talking, a slightly older staff member came in. She glanced at Wyatt and Michael, then turned to the young woman and snapped. The party's about to start in the main hall. Get ready. I'm telling you, the people here tonight are all VIPs. You can't afford to make a single mistake. Okay. The young woman pulled a small mirror from her pocket, touched up her makeup, and moved to stand by the cake, periodically checking the time. Her job for the night was to wheel the 6-tiered cake into the main hall with a colleague. After the party, she had to clean up. This job was a big deal for her, and she cherished it. After finishing their cakes, Michael and Wyatt returned to the main hall. Before long, Robert Zhao descended the stairs with a group of people. As a host, he gave a short speech, specifically thanking a few key individuals. Amid a round of applause, he gave a look to the club manager. Light, cheerful music began to play, the main lights dimmed, and everyone moved toward Robert. At that moment, the young woman who had brought them the cakes, along with a colleague, began to slowly push the six-tiered cake toward the center of the hall. Just as all eyes were on the cake, the young woman's ankle suddenly buckled. Though she managed not to fall, the trolley wobbled violently. The top layer of the cake, along with the white chocolate longevity peach, toppled off and crashed onto the floor. The entire hall fell silent. Everyone was stunned. The host, Robert Zhao's face was a thundercloud of fury. The young woman was completely frozen, like a deer in headlights, standing motionless as if her system had crashed. An accident had occurred. No one had expected something like this to happen. The once lively hall was now so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone was frozen. The longevity peach on top of the cake had been Robert Zhao's specific request. Now, that symbol of health and long life lay shattered on the floor with the top tier of his birthday cake. The person who was most embarrassed, most furious, and most unable to accept this was, of course, Robert Zhao. As for the server who had tripped, she was so terrified she looked like she had seen a ghost, her mind completely blank. Just as everyone was wondering what to do, Wyatt cleared his throat, picked up a glass of wine from a nearby table, and stepped forward with a smile. A spill on the floor just means there's more in store. More sweetness on the ground means more success to be found. Here's to a year of sweet returns and stocks that never turn. To Mr. Zhao, may your health be strong and your profits long. In the dead silence, Wyatt's voice seemed magically amplified, each word landing perfectly in the hearts and minds of the stunned onlookers. The awkward standoff was instantly broken. The crowd of financial elites, each possessing an emotional intelligence higher than the last, immediately caught on. Wyatt had started it, and they all chimed in with their own well wishes. Robert Zhao had been on the verge of exploding, but Wyatt's words instantly improved his mood. Losing his temper at an event like this would surely become gossip in financial circles for years to come. Realizing this, he burst into laughter, thanking everyone for their birthday wishes. Michael was dumbfounded. He had assumed Wyatt won over Dean Evans with his looks and talent, but he had no idea Wyatt was also a master of flattery. Damn, he thought, I really learned something tonight. Seeing the atmosphere return to normal, Wyatt turned to the server. Hurry up and clean that up. Don't just stand there. The young woman flinched as if shocked, then snapped back to reality and scurried off with her colleague to get cleaning supplies. Within minutes, a sense of harmony returned to the hall. Robert Zhao quietly pulled Charles Evans aside. If you hadn't brought your son-in-law tonight, he said with a grin, I would have made a fool of myself. Charles didn't bother to correct him, simply smiling in return. He's always been a quick thinker. When he graduates, would he be interested in working at my company? You'd have to ask him yourself. He's determined to build his own empire. Haha, just having that ambition is great. Not like my nephew, who just fools around all day. He went to study abroad and came back with a whole host of bad habits. Now, he's even started smoking. While the two men were talking, Michael pulled Wyatt aside, draping an arm over his shoulder. Dude, you're incredible. I didn't even know what to do back there, and you saved my uncle's ass with just a few words. When this is over, you should probably try to talk to your uncle again for her sake. Don't worry. Now that it's past, he won't dwell on it. Wyatt put down a small piece of cake he was holding. I'm going to the restroom. You know where it is? I'm not an idiot. Michael blinked, then burst out laughing. He felt a real kinship with Wyatt. In all the time he'd been back, this was the first person he'd met who he could actually talk to. He decided then and there to get Wyatt's number. They could definitely become good friends. Wyatt went to the restroom, and as he was coming out after washing his hands, he ran right into the server who had caused the disaster. She seemed to have been waiting for him. Seeing him, she lowered her head. Thank you for what you did back there. It was nothing. Wyatt smiled and asked casually, They didn't give you a hard time, did they? The young woman didn't speak, but her expression was crestfallen. Robert Zhao hadn't made a fuss, of course. The higher a person's social standing, the kinder they often are to those at the bottom. But the club manager had used the incident as an excuse to dock her pay. Though she didn't answer, Wyatt could guess what had happened from her face. You should get back to work. It looks like things are wrapping up in there. Okay, thank you. The woman bowed quickly and disappeared. When Wyatt returned to the main hall, more than half the people were gone. The rest were saying their goodbyes, preparing to leave. He scanned the room and saw Robert Zhao waving him over. Wyatt. Robert greeted him warmly, grabbing his hand and patting his shoulder with the other. You should come by my office sometime. I'll have Michael show you around. You two are close in age. You should keep in touch. Definitely, definitely. This was exactly what Wyatt had come for tonight. He smiled. I'll be sure to come and learn from the best. Under the guidance of Robert and Charles, Wyatt and Michael exchanged contact information. After a few more polite words, Charles led Wyatt away. On the way back, Charles was smiling. You did very well tonight. A lot of people there will remember you. A few of them even asked me for your name. It was all thanks to the opportunity you gave me, Mr. Evans. All right, save the flattery. I've done my part to help. The rest is up to you. Understood, Mr. Evans, Wyatt asked. Why is Robert Zhao so good to his nephew, sending him abroad, giving him a job at his company? His own son passed away when he was very young, Charles said quietly. I see. Meanwhile, in another car, Robert Zhao was asking his nephew, so what did you think of that Wyatt kid? He's great, Michael said with a smile. He's got high emotional intelligence, and he's easy to get along with. Now that you're back, I want you to cut ties with those good-for-nothing friends from overseas. Find some decent people to hang out with, and start focusing on the right path. Uncle, Before Michael could finish, Robert cut him off. And quit smoking, and cut back on the drinking. If I find out you've been to another bar, you'll have me to answer to. Michael's face fell. He looked utterly dejected. When Wyatt got back to his dorm, he was planning to message Michael later. But a message from Michael came through first. Michael, Wyatt, you've got some serious charm, man. Wyatt. Michael, when I was leaving the club, that pretty server who pushed the cake came and asked me for your name. Wyatt. You idiot, that's just because I helped her out. Michael. I know, but she still got chewed out. I felt bad for her, so I tried to slip her a tip when I left, but she wouldn't take it. Wyatt. That's not really a custom here. Michael. I start my uncle's company tomorrow. The good life is officially over. Wyatt. Good luck. I'll come visit you in prison sometime. Michael, deal. You can count on it. Next time you come, I'll have a gift for you. Wyatt. A gift? Michael. My uncle already gave me my orders. No more bars or clubs for me. I got a bunch of VIP cards for clubs, spas, and karaoke places. They're useless to me now, so I'll give them all to you. Wyatt. What kind of person do you think I am? Wyatt. I never go to those places. Wyatt. But I have a friend. Michael, haha.